Hello there, very good morning to you on this Wednesday morning. You're very welcome. The headlines: the Home Secretary will admit today that Britain has lost control of its borders.
Shabana Mahmood says the immigration crisis is eroding trust in politicians and damaging the credibility of the state.
But with the new one-in, one-out partial returns deal under fire and channel crossings still rising, can this government really take back control?
We will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games.
As Hamas carry out public executions on the streets of Gaza, President Trump warns the terrorist group of repercussions if they fail to disarm.
A new poll projects that Nigel Farage is set for the biggest Commons majority ever, with the Conservatives reduced to just 7 MPs and Labour culled.
Britain faces the highest inflation in the G7 and the worst living standards in the West. That's according to the International Monetary Fund.
It's the anniversary of Sir David Amess's murder, an MP who was tragically killed at his constituency surgery 4 years ago. We'll be joined by his daughter very shortly in this hour.
From dodging calls to demanding greater focus on mental health, youngsters are reshaping the office, but many bosses aren't impressed. We're asking, are Gen Z simply lazy?
Up in arms, hundreds of workers and local residents are rallying at Lindsay Oil Refinery near Hull to demand the government protects jobs and Britain's diesel supply.
And sport this morning, England qualify for the World Cup finals in style, scoring 5 away from home in Latvia. In China, Emma Raducanu suffers the worst defeat of her career, and in our opinion, he's the world's greatest ever goalkeeper. He auctions off his collection of football shirts today.
Another grey start for most of us this morning, but the sun is coming out in a few places. Find out where in the forecast coming up soon.
Hello there, good to see you. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Now, you just can't leave people with the world's greatest ever goalkeeper. People
Can you not?
Who's he talking about here? And I noticed there's a Tottenham shirt.
Well, it's obvious, though, isn't it? But then again, he did play for Arsenal as well.
Yeah.
And 119 caps for Northern Ireland. The great big Pat Jennings.
He is a superb goalkeeper. Was a superb goalkeeper. It's Pat Jennings we're talking about.
I've earmarked for the auction because it's 11 o'clock today. So all these shirts, he's got all these shirts, shorts, awards, everything he's auctioning. And I've earmarked a few for you because I think...
I have no money.
Yeah, no, but can we all, like, club together for you? Poor old thing. George Best's shirt from 1968.
Yeah, that's
Oh, you'd
true.
like that.
And even if you're thinking, you know, that's a little bit too expensive, there's a whole collection of Northern Ireland shorts and socks. You could just come in those.
A whole collection of Northern Ireland shorts.
Shorts and socks, yeah.
Are they washed?
Well, yeah, they're washed, but
Yeah.
the thing is, they are the 80s ones, so they're little ones.
Okay.
What are the price ranges looking like?
I see, there was one, and there was Spur from the first games I ever saw in the 70s, and his shirt there. The thing is, there's so many collectors around, and they're talking about 2,000-3,000 quid for a shirt. And then there's all the shirts that he's exchanged over the years, different countries, Arsenal shirts, Cup final shirts. There's so much stuff there.
Yeah.
So Pat's going to be with us just after 8.
Have you got your eye on anything in the auction?
Loads, but I can't afford it. What about between us?
Do
Ellie?
Spurs have a museum?
No, they don't.
Oh, well,
They
should.
talked about having one, but they haven't had
They
one.
should have a museum.
Start with Pat's shirts.
Yeah. Ellie, are you in?
I can club in.
OK.
I have £5 in my bag.
OK, fine. Everything helps.
Okay.
Every little helps.
Every little helps. We're with you until 9:30 this morning. Hope we can rely on your company to watch us or listen to us on the radio.
Now to our top story this morning, and the Home Secretary is expected to call out Britain's failure to control its borders.
Shabana Mahmood will say the migrant crisis is destroying trust in politicians and the credibility of the country.
Well, the Home Secretary will attempt to collaborate with Balkan nations in an attempt to secure Britain's borders.
Home Secretary is expected to issue one of her frankest assessments as migrants now face tougher language rules for visas. We're going to get the views on this on former Conservative Special Advisor Laura McKevitt. I don't know. I deal with the news every day, and I think to myself, you couldn't make it up. You couldn't.
I think what's important to remember about this one is that she's addressing a meeting of the interior ministers from the Balkans today, and that's why she's making this. She's not just standing up and pontificating.
Why are the Balkans irrelevant to us?
Because 22,000 people were smuggled through the Balkans into Western Europe last year. So the Balkan states are key to shutting down the routes of illegal entry into Western Europe. And so it's important to note that she's not just standing up and making a political speech. She's making a speech at a summit where one hopes that they are trying to come up with a solution to the people smuggling.
Is that solution saying, well, you can't come in, but you might be able to come in if you can speak English to a certain standard?
I think it's a good opportunity for her to talk about some of the things that the government are putting in place to try and make this a less attractive destination. The English language skills are one of them. The uplift to the percentage that employers have to pay in order to employ a foreign worker, the length of time that foreign students can stay once their student visa has expired. All these are actions that they're hoping make a difference.
I'll tell you why I'm just losing interest in this, right? So if we take this serious, what she's got to say today, we were supposed to take serious what Keir Starmer and President Macron negotiated between themselves, this one in, one out business. And everybody said at the time, what a farce.
Yeah, that's never going to work.
This will never work. And it isn't working, and it's obvious it wouldn't work from the start. And yet we have to waste time, money, trouble on the whole thing.
Not to mention, who do you currently call in the French government to organise it? Because it looks like they're going to have another vote of no confidence on Thursday, is it? So they're making the Tory party look pretty well organised and huge fans of their leaders. I think that what the Labour Party are doing in government, there are some things here that are good. People should speak English to a high level if they're coming here and hoping to work for a long time. It should be more expensive to employ a foreign worker than it is to employ a domestic worker. And I read something overnight which was very interesting. I've never heard of them doing this before. They are, they are suspending visas from Botswana, or they're implementing visas from Botswana, which had previously had visa-free travel, I think, because the route had been so abused for people coming in here and overstaying. So there are actions that they are taking, but
is it enough though, Lauren?
Probably not.
Nigel Farage reacting to all of this, saying it's doing nothing to detract from the pull factors.
Probably not, because a lot of what this deals with is issues around legal migration. And the illegal migration, those people who are being smuggled into Western Europe via the Balkan states, they don't care about the A-level English requirement, because what they'll do is come here and claim asylum and be in a hotel and possibly work illegally, as some of them are doing. And I think that's where you'll see the Labour Party begin to make more out of the concept of ID cards, which is, yes, one way of making sure that you're employing someone who's legitimately allowed to be here, but it is a big step for this country to go to an ID card state.
Why should the Balkan states care what state our migration is in?
Because they are facilitating massive organised crime. People smuggling is a massive organised crime ring, and so the Balkan states should be a part of the solution to that, because they're facilitating it by allowing people to cross through their countries. These are, regardless of whether or not they should or shouldn't be here, these are human beings being trafficked because they have elected to pay a people smuggler to try and get into Europe. And everything possible to try and stop those routes, which is, these are incredibly dangerous routes for people to be taking. This is fueling organised crime across the continent. It's very important that the Balkan states are as involved, as invested in this and in the solutions for this as the UK is, as France is.
It's a frank admission, isn't it, from Shabana Mahmood? Britain has failed to control its borders. But despite her saying that, it doesn't change anything, does it? I mean, channel crossings are still going up.
They are.
Something like over 50,000 people have crossed now since the Labour government came into power.
They are. And if we're looking at the last 12 months, then yes, almost half of that has been channeled through the Balkan states, which is why she's having this particular conversation today. I think it's not unhelpful that Boris Johnson has been in the news trying to defend himself against allegations about the Boris wave, saying it's all the Treasury's fault. They were concerned about wage inflation and wages going up, and so the Treasury wanted loads of people to come into the country. Him saying anything about migration on his watch gives fuel to the Labour Party to say, well, you just let it run rampant because you let the Treasury walk all over you. And, you know, then there's a tit for tat there. And that's why Reform are beginning to do so well in the polls. It's because people are sick of both the main parties failing on this.
Yeah, well, here we are, the 15th of October, 35,500 illegal migrants in the country that we know about so far this year. Lauren, come back and see us after 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
Folks, if you've got anything to add, any questions you want to put to Lauren, any comments or opinions about what she's saying, do have your say and get in touch with us.
Now, it is the 15th of October, and today marks 4 years since Southend West MP Sir David Amess was tragically murdered at his constituency surgery.
Sir David has served as an MP for 40 years, known for his dedication to his community, and his family, colleagues and constituents continue to remember his life and his legacy.
Well, we're joined now by his daughter, Katie Amess, and thank you so much for joining us this morning, Katie, on what must be such a painful anniversary for you.
Yes, just even hearing you speak about it, it's still so shocking to me, and it's so hard to come to terms with and believe that this is actually really what happened and that this is our reality now.
What is the reality for you and your family now, 4 years on, Katie?
We are just absolutely broken. Our lives are destroyed. I feel like I can never be fully happy again, knowing that this happened to my dad in such a shocking and horrific way. And 4 years on, we still don't have any answers as to why somebody that was known to the government Prevent scheme and to the police was allowed to go back onto the street to commit this atrocity. I've been asking the government for an inquiry to find out why they only had one meeting with the guy and they didn't have the other 7 that were budgeted to find out if he was a terrorist. And so far it's fallen on deaf ears, and Sir Keir is refusing to do an inquiry for us.
Yeah, and it was one meeting in a McDonald's, I hear, over a coffee. I mean, what does this say about Prevent scheme? We were talking about the migrant scheme in general there, the one in, one out deal with France. And I think, you know, a lot of politicians, they just talk rubbish. They talk a good game, but it doesn't add up to anything. And does it seem that the Prevent scheme is one of those things?
Well, Prevent is absolutely rubbish, and they claim that after it happened to my dad, they overhauled it and they fixed it, but then Southport happened. And the government did the right thing with Southport. They immediately launched an inquiry. But there is something in my father's case that they do not want to see the light of day, and they are point blank refusing. And when I ask, well, how comes you've done the right thing by Southport? They have no answers for me. They just tell me that it's a different case and that I should be happy with a review that has been done. But that review didn't have the judicial power to question anybody. They just want me to go away and to shut up and to move on. But I'm not going to do that, because my dad was an amazing public servant. He was in the House of Commons for nearly 40 years and he touched thousands of people's lives. And these are his colleagues and his alleged friends, and they don't want whatever it is that they know coming out. So my whole family is just in despair. If this is how little the government cares for the family of a murdered colleague, how little do they care for everybody else?
Katie, I remember this day so well because at the time I was the South East of England reporter for GB News. I'm from Essex. I'm from very close to where your father's constituency surgery was. And I went straight down there. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, what I was seeing, and speaking to people straight away after your father was so tragically murdered in that way. everybody I spoke to spoke so highly of your father, even if they hadn't voted for him, even if their political views were totally opposite to him. They spoke so highly of him as a man who was a visible presence in Southend. He was always walking around, wasn't he? He was always chatting to dogs. He was always popping into shops and talking to the shopkeepers, speaking about you, speaking about his family. He was a proud family man as well. How have you reacted to the outpouring of love and all of these stories that you've heard about your father in the past 4 years? Because he was such a loved man.
He was so beloved and he transcended politics. It didn't matter what party you voted for, you couldn't help but like my dad, and he would help anybody, no matter what religion you were, what colour you were, what party you supported. He just wanted to help people. He didn't care about climbing. He was only ever a backbencher. He didn't care about becoming a minister or hobnobbing his way up the ladder like so many of the politicians do nowadays. He just wanted to help people. And it is the thousands of messages of support and the love. And I feel like people are sharing in my grief. And that is what is keeping me going, trying to get the answers as to why he was so badly let down and failed, because I received so many messages saying, please don't give up, because you are our hope to try and create some change in this country and find out, you know, where the flaws are and make sure that another innocent person doesn't lose their life.
Well, with that in mind, do you think that lessons have been learnt from your father's murder? I mean, how concerned are you now about politicians' safety? We saw yesterday, didn't we, a small boat migrant, an Afghan man, jailed for 5 years for threatening to kill Nigel Farage on TikTok. When you see this kind of rhetoric and people talking about threats to politicians, how does that make you feel?
Absolutely nothing has changed. And any terrorist that is planning an attack must be loving watching my situation, that I'm not even allowed an inquiry as to why the government scheme let them go, because we aren't reprimanding these people. We aren't overhauling the system. We aren't getting into the nuts and bolts of where we failed. We're just brushing it over, sweeping it under the carpet and trying to move on to the next story. So it's a huge failure, and we're not even being allowed any answers as to who made the mistakes and why they made them.
Well, meanwhile, your dad's murderer, Ali Harby, Ali, was found guilty after just 18 minutes of deliberation at the Old Bailey, and he got a whole life prison term in 2022. I don't really know what whole life means, what it's expected to mean, but is there any more that can be done with Ali Harby? Ali?
No, I mean, I don't even think about him. He is so pathetic and irrelevant. He wanted to be seen as a hero and be hailed as, you know, this great warrior, but he attacked an unarmed 69-year-old man in a church. That is a wimp. That is not a warrior. He should have just gone to Syria and fought in the war if he thought he was so strong and powerful. So he will just die in prison. And I am deeply religious like my father was, and I believe that God will figure out what's going to happen with him when he dies in prison. So I just focus on my dad and the love and the light and the positivity that he brought to this world. And I'm just so grateful to the thousands of people that have shown support and kindness and kind of held our hands. It's restored my hope in humanity, that people can be so kind and caring and loving.
Katie, a priest didn't get to hold your father's hand or give him the last rites in his constituency surgery. And I know that your father was a very religious man. He believed strongly in his Catholic faith. What was your reaction to that?
I think it's shameful. I think it's disgusting. And I don't know why that decision was made, but to not give a dying man an opportunity to have his last rites read to him when everybody knew how religious he was, I think is disgusting. And that law needs to be changed if it was a law that stopped the priest going in, because it's not comforting to me at all to know that he wasn't with a priest praying when he passed away.
Well, Katie, he would be very, very proud of you and what you are doing. And we can tell, talking to you, that you intend to keep on talking about your father, remembering your father, and making sure that something will be done about this, and his death hopefully won't be in vain. But thank you very much indeed for your time. Good luck with all that you're trying to achieve, and we're here for you if you want to speak again at any stage.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And
we're
very sorry for your troubles. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, it's very fitting now, isn't it, to have our daily reflection with Mike, who's a vicar in the Church of England.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Mike, a vicar in the Church of England. Many of us have been there. We've got a long to-do list, and then the flat pack from IKEA arrives, and we think, that looks easy. I don't need help from my spouse. I don't even need help from the manual. I've got it under control. It's only when we realise that it's all gone totally wrong that we're finally ready to eat humble pie and accept help. In the Bible, humility is a most glorious disposition. It saves us time and aggro. It enables us to grow as people. It makes us more pleasant to be around. But as St. Bernard says, it is also the first step to heaven. See, it's only when we're open to the idea that we might not have it all figured out that we're finally ready to make space to listen to God. That can be hard because it involves swallowing our pride, admitting that we need help. But it's only when I know myself as ultimately helpless that I'm ready to see Jesus as he really is, the Saviour of the world for all who will receive him.
Loads of reaction already coming in to that interview that we just had with Katie Amess. Linda says, Katie Amess, you are so brave. Good luck to you. And Jean says, David Amess actually shone. He's going to be loved and is so loved by so many.
Thanks for your comments. Keep them in. Have your say. There it is on screen, and we will reflect those views throughout the programme today. Well, here we are, halfway through the week. What's the weather doing? Let's go to Aidan to find out.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Another cloudy day for most of us, with a few light showers around, otherwise dry, but lucky some will have some sunshine. A few cloud breaks possible in the south first thing, likewise for West Wales, but the largest cloud breaks once again, like the previous few days, central and northern parts of Scotland, particularly over the Highlands and the Grampians, where the clouds are poking through the cloud and reaching the sunshine above. Some light showers around coast, but otherwise it's dry. It's not particularly chilly. It's not particularly warm either under the grey leaden skies, temperatures around the mid-teens. Then heading into the evening, well, we keep those clear skies across much of central Scotland. There is some thicker cloud for the north and northwest of Scotland. Some light showers associated with this as well. Cloud hugging the Western Isles, but clear inland. Through the central belt, mostly cloudy. Likewise for southern Scotland, Northern Ireland, much of England. But for Wales, well, a large part of West Wales and parts of Cornwall and Devon seeing some clear spells as we go into the night. And that's why we'll see big contrasts overnight from place to place, because where we keep the cloud, it's going to be a mild night. We'll avoid fog, but we will see a few mist patches forming as the cloud lowers a little. Where we keep the clear skies, there will be some fog patches and perhaps a touch of frost, or at least a ground frost, with temperatures heading towards the low single figures in a few spots. But otherwise, it's a reasonably mild start to Thursday, but again, a reasonably cloudy one. I think there's a better chance through the day tomorrow of some decent cloud breaks developing. Just about anywhere could see these. They'll come and go. Very fickle, this low cloud. And into Friday and the weekend, likewise, some cloud breaks, some sunshine, otherwise largely cloudy, until the end of the weekend when it turns more settled.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
24 minutes past 6 o'clock. Hope your day's going well so far. Still to come.
So we will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games.
Threatens to disarm Hamas after shocking scenes in Gaza. This is GB News Breakfast with Eamonn and Ellie.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very, very easy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello again to the Middle East again, and President Trump has threatened to disarm Hamas. How he's going to do that, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah. But after they carried out a mass execution yesterday on the streets of Gaza.
They don't disarm, we will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games, okay? Now, we did something monumental. We got the hostages back. That was the first thing we had to do. Above all else, get the hostages back. Now, they misrepresented because we were told they had 26, 24 of dead hostages, if we can use those terms. And it seems as though they don't have that.
Well, Hamas is believed to be reasserting control in Gaza, targeting suspected collaborators as it tries to tighten its grip following Israel's withdrawal from key areas in the Strip.
Now, all of this comes just days after Trump declared he had secured peace in the region. Easily said. Let's go to foreign correspondent Sarah Firth, who joins us now from Washington. Sarah, good morning. Thanks very much for your company today. You know, I was listening to Trump during the week and it was all easy talk. And I mean, there he goes again. We will disarm them. There may be violence involved. Well, of course there'll be violence involved. How else is he going to do it?
Yes, good morning, Eamonn and Ellie. You're absolutely right. President Trump, came back from that, and it was an undeniably historic moment as we watched those scenes play out on Monday with the release of the Israeli hostages in exchange for the Palestinian detainees. But on his return to Washington, the president facing some really tough questions from reporters about what happens next and what we're seeing playing out on the ground in Gaza now that the Israeli Defense Forces have withdrawn from a lot of the area. We've seen there is this security vacuum that has emerged, and in its place, Hamas, as you rightly said, Eamonn, just reasserting control. Now, the president said, basically, look, they will disarm, or we will disarm them. But when he was pushed on the detail of that, it was very thin on the ground. He said it could happen very quickly. It could possibly be very violent. But he said, Hamas, no, I'm not playing games. Well, that's all well and good. But I think a lot of people now are a little bit concerned about the lack of detail around this, because whilst President Trump declared this a new dawn for the Middle East, this is, of course, just the first steps in that 20-point peace plan that he signed. And so there
Sarah,
is a long way to go.
Sarah, here's my thinking on all of this. They talk about these bodies being returned. I don't believe Hamas have these bodies. I mean, where the heck are they? I mean, Israel has blown the guts out of the place anyway. I mean, who knows how these people die, where their bodies end up, what condition they're in. I mean, it's easy to say they've got bodies, but they're not all lined up uniformly in a warehouse somewhere and they're saying, no, we'll not give you that one, we'll give you that. I don't believe they've got them.
No, I mean, that is a very good point. You have the aid agencies saying that more than 90% of homes have been destroyed across Gaza. You've seen the images from people, Palestinians returning, well, I was going to say returning home, but they're not returning home, guys. They're returning to areas that have been absolutely leveled. And underneath that rubble, the warnings are stark. There are bodies under the rubble. You're absolutely right. It's not at all clear that Hamas knows the locations of all those deceased Israelis. And there are huge questions back in Israel, a lot of controversy over the fact that hostages themselves that were released earlier have spoken out and said one of their biggest fears whilst they were held in captivity was the Israeli bombings. When those bombs fell, they didn't know if that would be the end for them. So there is a lot of controversy around all of this. I think a lot of relief from all sides. Here in Washington, there was a huge exhale on Monday when we actually saw those Israeli hostages released, and you heard President Trump saying, look, the guns were silenced. But Eamonn, as you pointed out, it's very easy to have that strong rhetoric. How long the guns are silenced for, though, that is going to depend on the detail of the rest of that peace plan. Who will run the International Stabilization Force on the ground? Who will govern Gaza? Who will pay for the rebuild? And very importantly right now, who will oversee and enforce disarming Hamas?
So many big questions remain, don't they, Sarah? As always, thank you very much for your
Thanks, Sarah.
Live from Washington.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, tonight at 7 o'clock, tune in to us for Nigel Farage's interview with Donald Trump's son, Eric. Now, just as the president does the what seemed to be the impossible and signed that Gaza peace deal, they'll be discussing everything from the special relationship to deploying the military to solve crime-infested cities to deporting nearly 2 million illegal immigrants. That's tonight. Farage, 7 o'clock tonight. He's talking to Eric Trump.
Now, at 6:33, just time to tell you about the Great British Giveaway. Here are all of the details that you need for a chance to make it yours.
You're not going to want to miss our greatest Great British Giveaway so far. You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this brand new 2025 Benimar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. And remember, if you can dream it, you can drive it away. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
If you were to win a motorhome and you were to bring it out on the road, here's what's happening out there.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Drivers on the A470 northbound should be aware of an incident between Pentrabac and CEFN Coed, causing potential delays. In Stockport, congestion is building on the M60 clockwise exit slip at Junction 1, leading to delays of around 10 minutes against the usual travel time. This issue is expected to clear soon. For those commuting by train, there is disruption on the Great Western Railway between Ash and Guildford. Additionally, buses are replacing trains between Corkickle and Whitehaven due to ongoing issues. Stay informed on these updates to plan your journey accordingly. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We've got Paul here this morning with the sport, and you're in celebratory mood.
Yes.
England are in the World Cup finals.
Yep, in Mexico and Canada and the United States. So England have now qualified with 2 games to spare, beat Latvia 5-0. You can't argue with 5-0.
I mean, very good.
I mean, England are looking very, very good from a bit of a wobbly start with Thomas Tuchel. It's coming together, and I'm very impressed. Harry Kane got another 2 goals. No goals conceded in 9. They score in 5. They scored 3 against Wales. I'll tell you what was interesting, though. When Thomas Tuchel complained about the fans, we spoke about this last week, because during the Wales game, he said that the fans were too quiet, they won't get behind the team, which I think is a silly thing to get involved in as a manager. You don't start having a go at the fans. So the fans in Latvia were singing, "Are we loud enough for you? Are we loud enough for you?" So Thomas heard it, and this was his response.
Yeah, I got a bit of stick today in the first half. I was almost in every song, so fair enough. Well done, I take it, and good humour, good sense of humour, and accept it.
There's a relationship.
Wasn't a joke. It was serious. I know, but that's fair enough. But it was a silly thing to do, and I think it was all came quite nicely.
So well done, England. Premier League. We're getting some reaction to this idea of playing Premier League matches abroad, which you and I
we hate it, don't we? Absolutely hate it. So La Liga, Barcelona against Villarreal is probably going to happen in Miami in December. AC Milan against Como in the Italian Serie A. It's going to take place in Perth, Australia. It's just in February. But it's just ridiculous.
But here's the thing, Paul. We'll end up talking about those teams that are playing abroad. The spotlight will be on them, and maybe it makes them more prominent and their leagues seem more glamorous.
Well, chairman of Liverpool, Tom Werner, he said he's determined a Premier League match will be played in America. NBC, because it's all about money.
For Liverpool, he wants Liverpool.
He wants it to happen. NBC want 2 opening matches.
He's American, isn't he?
Exactly. Want 2 matches played. Now, Tony Bloom, who's the Brighton chairman, has spoken about this, and he's been really good, and he says, I'm not in favour at all. He said the Premier League is becoming bigger and better every season, but basically saying that other leagues are falling behind to some extent. They need it, we don't.
Yes,
but
they do need it.
They do need it, but the thing is, clubs here will still think, they say, look, we don't need the supporters from over there, but they just think it's more money where they'll come over here, more money on merchandise, so maybe it would be a good idea. We can't do this. It's absolutely, I think it would be awful, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if it happens.
Okay.
Wouldn't be at all surprised.
Can we talk about Emma Raducanu?
And what is there to say?
It's not looking too good.
2 words we can say. She lost.
For her.
Yeah.
But doesn't she have a new coach? And I thought things were looking up.
Well, it's the Ningbo Open in China. I know it's your particular favourite tennis tournament. Lost to the Ningbo Open, lost to Lin Zhu the number 219 in the world, Lin Zhu.
Was she carrying an injury?
No, she said 2 medical again, but it wasn't that hot. It was 25 degrees. It was evening, which is quite nice. It's a pleasant temperature to play tennis in. Blood pressure was taken. A lower back was checked. It was all a bit of a disaster. So just when we think things are turning around for her, I'm afraid not very good in China. There you go.
Okay.
Oh, dear.
A British cyclist has broken the world record for the fastest bicycle speed in a slipstream.
Well, so how fast do you reckon? On a bike, pedalling, this is it happened in America, 175.89 miles an hour.
Get out of it. Wait a minute, just his own legs are doing this.
Yes. Well, if you watch this, so what he starts attached to this motor vehicle, which is obviously very fast. So then he stays attached to it, and as it picks up speed...
So it pulls him and he picks up speed on this.
Then it picks up speed, so then it's going up to around 170 miles an hour, and then it lets go, and then he has to pedal. So he's in the slipstream of that, but he is pedalling it 175 miles an hour. I mean, I had trouble going down a hill on a rally chopper at about 7 miles an hour, and if I got wiped out, it'd scare the life out of me. Can you imagine? Look at the speed of this. And he's cycling 175 miles an hour.
Wow.
And he wants to break 200 miles an hour. It's crazy, man.
He's bionic, he is.
You know what? I think he is bionic.
Yeah.
I really do.
OK, Mr Paul, thank you very much indeed. See you again at 7:20.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, the new Oxford University Chancellor rages against cancel culture. Find out more in just a tick in the papers with Christo and Scarlett. Morning, you two. Chat to you in a second. But first, we're in search of some holiday sun. Here's the forecast across Europe.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you are searching for some holiday sunshine, I can recommend Portugal as one of the warmer and sunnier spots on Thursday. Drier in the Balearics following a wet start to the week, but the rain that has affected parts of Spain and the Balearics now moving through Sardinia, affecting parts of southern Italy into Greece as well. So very lively thunderstorms and some large rainfall amounts. Still some showers across Spain, otherwise mostly fine for Portugal. And the wet weather in Greece becomes more widespread into Croatia and Greece later on.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Prince William has launched this new national suicide prevention campaign around the country, £1 million of funding, helping organisations in each country within the United Kingdom. In order to launch it, he spoke to one mother with a very powerful story and actually got the most emotional I've ever seen him. So let's take a look at that clip, if we can.
Just like to sit him down like this and just say, why didn't you come to me? Because he's missed out on just so much joy and we would have been okay. You okay?
I'm sorry, it's
it's
hard to ask you questions that I know.
Hard and you've experienced loss yourself.
So that lady, Rianne there, her 1-year-old son died of pneumonia. And 5 days later, her husband, the son's father, took his own life. He killed himself. And what Rianne was telling the prince there was why she didn't have any signs. Why didn't you talk to me about this? Why didn't you say that you were struggling? And that's why the prince got so emotional. Of course, he's campaigned a lot for mental health provision and also to break down the stigmas when it comes to male mental health. And of course, with his own personal story of losing his mother so young, I think it just hit William quite hard.
Oh, he's so lovely, isn't he? What a beautiful man.
So often in these conversations, we talk about young people, we talk about schoolgirls' mental health. Very, very important, of course. But we aren't seeing an epidemic of suicide there. We're seeing an epidemic of suicide amongst men in their 30s and their 40s.
Yeah.
This is a specifically male issue for people that, aren't super young or super old. This is a specific problem for a specific demographic that doesn't often get spoken about.
The People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. We're joined by Christo Fufas and Scarlett Maguire to go through the papers with us. Morning, you two.
Good morning.
Christo, let's start with the Mail, shall we? It's pretty grim reading, isn't it?
It is. Front page, Labour isn't working again. Of course, alluding to that very famous 1979 advert, which was for the Thatcher first election there, which of course is quite poignant, 100 years after her birthday, after the day of her birth. Britain's economy facing a grim quadruple whammy. This is the International Monetary Fund saying that inflation in the UK will be on the highest for any advanced economy, the worst growth in living standards, also unemployment a 4-year high, and wage growth having slowed down sharply as well. So it's sort of a quadruple whammy of grimness, and that's aside from the black hole in the public finances of up to 30 billion and the really quite dismal economic record since
Well, what's she
Labour
going to
came
do
government.
about it? She's going to make us more dismal in November then, by all
But actually, to be fair, if you read the whole thing,
Yeah.
right, is of course the Mail has picked out, you know, the bad stuff, but actually the growth is good and it's going up, and they say that the inflation problems are pretty much one-off. They're like the water bills is going to be a big inflation problem, which will come down.
Growth isn't good.
Well, growth is good compared to everywhere else. I mean, the real problem, which the IMF says amazingly the world hasn't been too affected by, are the tariffs, the American tariffs, and once when they start hitting, then everybody's in trouble.
But growth in the last 3 months has been at pretty much zero, and so the beginning of the year we had sort of the moderately okay growth in comparison to other countries, but our growth has been at zero. The black hole that they exaggerated when they first came into power, because let's not forget the Office for Budget Responsibility said that it had been exaggerated, is now bigger than when they started. Millionaires are leaving in their droves, and the tax receipts on capital gains tax, since they put them up, have actually led to less money going into the Treasury. That's aside from the unemployment going up as a result of the national insurance rise, income tax being at the highest level it's ever been at in history. I mean, I could go on, so I don't know whether we're reading the same report.
Yeah, no, well, we are reading the same report, and we're just picking different things out of it. And the other thing is that I have. So I did say that growth is going up, and inflation, the IMF say will come down significantly because they're one-off things like water bills. But the other thing is, I have been on here for some time, and every time the IMF says anything, right, somebody says, oh, but the IMF always gets it wrong. So when we don't like the present government, we say, you know, the IMF is right. When the IMF was saying bad things about the Conservatives, they were going, well, it's wrong. I mean, actually, the problem about economic predictions, as both of us know, is they're very, very dubious.
The problem is perhaps throwing billions and billions of pounds of public sector pay rises and then being a bit surprised that inflation might have been somewhat affected by that. You can't put it all down to water bills. These are decisions made by Rachel Reeves.
Scarlett, let's have a look at a different story, shall we? And this Chinese spy scandal, it's not going away, is it?
Yes, I have been trying to understand the Chinese spy scandal and asking people about it and getting absolutely nowhere. So last week, the Times had, on the one hand, you know, this is a disaster and things, and on the other hand, what did these young men really find out, and were they even paid? And there seems to be a complete mismatch between what these people found out, like, you know, when Parliament's sitting and things like that. They weren't even paid £600. And both of them say, you know, as they would, I'm innocent. And then the government goes, well, you know, there's nothing we can do. And I mean, I don't think they named a civil servant, and I don't think you should ever name civil servants, actually. I think ministers have to take responsibility.
And that's the story here, isn't it? That, of course, civil service mutiny because of this named civil service servant after Labour publicly blamed one of these officials for the Chinese spy.
So the whole story is is why has the prosecution fallen?
Yeah.
And right from the beginning, from the day it fell, when the government said we're very disappointed, and you think you can't do this if a prosecution fails to then say we're very disappointed because actually we think those people really are guilty. But I mean, we're not allowing these two young men to find out whether they're innocent. And then there's the whole problem of one of the big differences between this government and the last government is their stance on China, and Labour is much more pro-China than Tories, and so it is being...
Why they sort of handed
Tories
over...
the whole Huawei thing.
Just give me in a minute, Scarlett. Trump says he's going to disarm Hamas. I'm asking you in 40 seconds, how can he do that?
I have absolutely, it's not Trump who's going to disarm Hamas. It's going to be Qatar and places like that, which are going to say, you've got to do something because we've got to keep this peace going. And that's what everybody wants, is for this peace to keep going.
OK, guys, thank you very much indeed. Sorry that was so short. We will be back with you in about 45 minutes or so. Thank you very much indeed. And right now we're going to go over and find out what the weather situation as we reach this halfway point during the week.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Another cloudy day for most of us, with a few light showers around, otherwise dry, but lucky some will have some sunshine. A few cloud breaks possible in the south first thing, likewise for West Wales, but the largest cloud breaks, once again, like the previous few days, central and northern parts of Scotland, particularly over the Highlands and the Grampians, where the clouds are poking through the cloud and reaching the sunshine above. Some light showers around coasts, but otherwise it's dry. It's not particularly chilly. It's not particularly warm either under the grey leaden skies, temperatures around the mid-teens. Then heading into the evening, well, we keep those clear skies across much of central Scotland. There is some thicker cloud for the north and northwest of Scotland. Some light showers associated with this as well. Cloud hugging the Western Isles, but clear inland. Through the central belt, mostly cloudy. Likewise for southern Scotland, Northern Ireland, much of England. But for Wales, well, a large part of West Wales and parts of Cornwall and Devon seeing some clear spells as we go into the night. And that's why we'll see big contrasts overnight from place to place, because where we keep the cloud, it's going to be a mild night. We'll avoid fog, but we will see a few mist patches forming as the cloud lowers a little. Where we keep the clear skies, there will be some fog patches and perhaps a touch of frost, or at least a ground frost, with temperatures heading towards the low single figures in a few spots. But otherwise, it's a reasonably mild start to Thursday, but again, a reasonably cloudy one. I think there's a better chance through the day tomorrow of some decent cloud breaks developing. Just about anywhere could see these. They'll come and go. Very fickle, this low cloud. And into Friday and the weekend, likewise, some cloud breaks, some sunshine, otherwise largely cloudy, until the end of the weekend when it turns more settled.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Road users should note temporary traffic lights on the A9 at Thatcher, causing delays due to emergency roadworks. An incident has been reported on the A470 northbound between Pentraback and CFN Coed. Stockport drivers may face congestion on the M60 clockwise exit slip at Junction 1. Meanwhile, on the M6 southbound near Birmingham, there are 30-minute delays. In Luton, congestion is affecting the M1 southbound at Junction 11A. And on the trains, northern services between Corkicle and Whitehaven have bus replacements, with disruptions between Liverpool, Lime Street and Manchester. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
There's just 3 weeks left to see how you could be our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. The Home Secretary will admit today that Britain has lost control of its borders.
Shabana Mahmood says the immigration crisis is eroding trust in politicians and damaging the credibility of the country.
But with the new one-in, one-out partial returns deal under fire and channel crossings still rising, can this government really take back control?
So we will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games.
As Hamas carries out public execution in Gaza, the President Trump warns the terrorist group of repercussions if they fail to disarm. What could those repercussions be?
A new mega poll projects that Nigel Farage is set for the biggest Commons majority ever, with Tories reduced to just 7 MPs and Labour culled.
Britain faces the worst living standards growth in Western Europe, according to the International Monetary Fund.
Today marks the 4th anniversary of Sir David Amess's murder, an MP who was tragically murdered at his constituency surgery. We heard from his daughter earlier this morning.
We are just absolutely broken. Our lives are destroyed. I feel like I can never be fully happy again, knowing that this happened to my dad in such a shocking and horrific way.
From dodging phone calls to demanding greater focus on mental health, youngsters are reshaping the office environment, but many seniors are not impressed with them. We're asking, are Generation Z simply lazy?
Well, I've got some good news for you. In sport this morning, England have qualified for the World Cup finals in style, scoring 5 again away at Latvia. In China, Emma Raducanu suffers the worst defeat of her career. And the other good news, Stuart Broad says that England will face the worst Australian team for 10 years when the Ashes start next month.
Another grey start for most of us this morning, but the sun is coming out in a few places. Find out where in the forecast coming up soon.
Hello there, very good morning to you. Just after 7 o'clock on this Wednesday morning, with you until 9:30. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Six ways that Gen Z are ruining the workplace for everyone else. This
Well, I'll tell you the
today.
main way,
Okay.
and I've already given off to a number of people about it, this absolute fear of using the telephone, right?
Yes.
So,
Oh, yes.
I mean, as a journalist, if I want to contact somebody or form a relationship with someone and say, look, you mightn't want to talk to me, but we'd like to do this with you, and you sell yourself and you persuade what's going on. They email, they text, they email, and they wait for, has so-and-so got back to us? I'm waiting for them to text back. Why don't you just pick up the phone and speak to them?
Or
there is a phobia.
I agree, and even in offices, there are people in offices, I swear this is true, I haven't seen it here, but there's like a few desks apart, I'll email. It's like, well, you're there.
Stand up and go talk to them.
Walk and talk.
Yeah.
But it seems to be a real problem.
I believe it is a problem.
It's OK, the likes of us sort of criticising it, whatever, and just not realising why they don't do the basic things.
Yeah.
But it seems to be an anxiety with
it's
a certain
phobia
generation.
at this stage, yeah, and it's a skill that's being lost, which is so important in the
You know what I
workplace
think it is? I think it's because short attention spans,
Yeah.
time. If I go on the phone, that means I'll have to spend 10 minutes talking to someone.
I think it's a social...
It's all done and it's easy.
I think it's a social anxiety.
I agree with Ellie, Paul, and I think that extends itself to like a restaurant. I would be with my kids and I would say, ask the waitress if she got a cloth there for me. You ask her. You ask her. I'm not... I just need a cloth to wipe something on the table here. This
My
absolute
sister's
fear.
Gen Z, and she wouldn't do anything like that.
Yeah.
She got her hair dyed the other day, right? And she asked for it to be blonde, and she came out a bit silver, a bit grey.
And
I was like, well, you have to go back in and say you're not going to pay for that, and you need a refund. And she went, oh, no.
And I bet she still tipped as well, right?
She tipped.
Yeah.
Yes. This is what they do. But yes, you're right, Eamonn. So dodging phone calls comes out as number 1. Number 3, I thought was quite interesting, noise-cancelling headphones. So Gen Z are just whacking on these headphones at the desk.
Footballers.
Is that what they do?
Yeah, they walk through, they'll get off the coach, and there's some footballers that have said, you know what, I want to meet the fans. They put their headphones on, they say it keeps them in the zone. It's just... rubbish, isn't it?
That's what all the kids are doing as well. They just put them on in the office.
Yeah, they have nothing to do with anybody. It's terrible.
It's
rude as well.
It's rude. Dressing down, that is a thing. They're very casual.
Right.
Everything's baggy.
Yeah, it is a baggy thing.
Baggy trousers,
So
baggy
I'll tell you
tops.
what's history.
Baggy trousers.
And Mr. Paul shows it. Ties.
Yes.
I reckon you'll be presenting news in a couple of years or so and nobody will be wearing a tie.
You know what? This is the thing that we've had here, and I've said, look, I'm happy to wear a tie. I said, I didn't wear a tie. Would you think I should wear a tie? Would you like me in a tie?
No.
I like a tie.
I'd be happy to wear one, but I thought if I now wear one, people think, how comes he's got a tie on?
Makes you look so much younger.
See, I really wanted to have my shirt undone down to here. Spinny bow tie.
Okay. Yeah, we should get you a spinny one.
Would you tell us what you think the younger generation is doing that is different and is maybe not to be recommended, but there's certain things that we can't understand, like why they don't use telephones and speak to people and, speak to waiters and waitresses and whatever. And that's how you got tips as a waiter or waitress. You have a bit of personality with someone,
100%.
and they give you a tip, you say, oh, thanks very much, or whatever.
I was a great waitress.
Yeah.
Always got good tips.
Were you? Yeah, you're chatty?
Yeah, so chatty.
Yeah, that's really good.
Sometimes got me in trouble with the bosses, but I'd always get good
What, too much chat?
Too much.
See, I got 5 from a shop for too much chat.
You're developing your social skills.
Exactly, that's what I'd say.
Nothing wrong with that.
Let us know your views on all of that. Have your say. Thank you. Thanks, Paul. See you in 15 minutes' time. Top story this morning, Ellie, is what?
The Home Secretary is expected to call out Britain's failure to control its borders.
Shabana Mahmood will say the migrant crisis is destroying trust in politicians and the credibility of the country.
Well, she will attempt to collaborate with Balkan nations in an attempt to secure Britain's borders.
The Home Secretary is expected to issue one of her frankest assessments yet, as migrants now face tougher language rules for visas. Former Conservative Special Advisor Laura McKevitt is with us this morning with her views on all of this. And, what do you think about what the Home Secretary will have to say?
I think it's incredibly important that she's saying this in a summit with the Balkan nations. I'd say almost 50% of the people who arrived here illegally, into Western Europe illegally, were coming through Balkan nation routes, in the people smuggling routes in the course of the last year. it's incredibly important that the Home Secretary is meeting with the interior ministers from the Balkan states to try and get a grip on this. But I think in order for the Balkan states to treat this seriously, they need to hear from the Home Secretary that she recognises the part of this is our fault
Has she to say this involves you as well, or has she to soft-soap them? Is she to woo them? What do you think?
I think she's got to mea culpa a bit in order to bring them to the table to talk about how we clamp down on this. You can't just say it's all your fault when manifestly there is a problem here too. It is too attractive an environment, and that's what the other half of this package is about. Now, the problem is some of the stuff that they're doing really only impacts legal migration routes. So, you know, the reduction of the post-graduation visa from 2 years to 18 months, the English language requirement going from GCSE to A-level type threshold, the percentage you have to pay as a levy if you employ a foreign worker versus a domestic one. All of these apply to legitimate migration routes. And what we need to be talking about, and what she will be talking about today, is the illegitimate migration routes that are taking people across the Channel. And so, yes, we can say, you know, the Labour government are taking some steps in this direction, but that's about legal migration. That's not about reducing the pull factor of the UK for the illegal migration.
Which is exactly the point that Nigel Farage is making in response to all of this. Shabana Mahmood, though, is going to critique, in turn, the Reform Party and the Tory Party for their plans to quit the ECHR. She says now's the time to act globally. There has to be a global response. We have to work internationally to cooperate on this.
I'm disappointed to hear her say that, because she said some good things on at least reform of ECHR when she was in the Justice Department.
She hasn't ruled that out, no?
Just yesterday we had some Human Rights Commissioner come over here and tell us that how the Supreme Court ruled on the equalities law issue around trans rights in this country was going to break ECHR law. There is a really big problem with how the ECHR works with our legal system here. It is impeding our ability to legislate in our own country, and that is clearly unacceptable. And I think that there are huge other numbers of nations in Europe who recognise this problem as well. I think it was the Italians who've talked about this previously. Even some of the German parties are beginning to gripe about it in the centre ground rather than the extreme.
Or the last time we had meaningful discussions with a foreign power was talking to France and Emmanuel Macron, and we come up with this one-in, one-out policy, which we all said at the time was a complete nonsense and it would never work. You get Keir Starmer saying, oh, no, this is going to be fantastic. It's a blooming joke, isn't it?
It is. It's not. I mean, it was always a pretty bad deal. I think, you know, the French would have some element of control over who they got back, but we get no control over who the French send to us. It's capped at, what is it, like 50? It's a drop in the bucket by comparison to the numbers involved. And at this point, we don't know who to get on the phone in France, because the government is collapsing like a bad souffle once every other day. So it's difficult to see how that can continue in the long term, because it's really clearly not working.
And this is why when we say, well, how does that affect us? This is how this affects us. We need to know who we're talking to.
But the point that was legitimate in what was said around that agreement was Macron, who additionally said the pull factor of the United Kingdom is too high. And I think he's completely right about that. And I think that's one of the things that Labour are thinking about with this ID card system. The difficulty will be selling that within the general population, who don't believe that they should have to have an ID card for other groups of people doing something wrong. And I think Reform are going to end up benefiting there if they don't go wholesale towards ID cards on a civil liberties front. And the Tories might do as well, because the Tories have always been historically fairly anti-ID card. From the Labour Party going so full scale towards the ID card solution. But at the same time, we're asking businesses in this country to police a system without giving them the tools to actually legitimately be able to police such a system. We're asking businesses to check that people are legitimately allowed to work in this country without giving them really the tool to be able to do so, all of which adds further to business expense, which they can't afford because, as you've just had in the previous segment with the papers, Labour isn't working again.
We've got loads of views coming in, Lauren. Your thoughts on this one from Isabel. MPs are all talk when it comes to illegal immigrants. They're doing nothing to stop this. It's so disheartening to know my taxes being used to fund all of this. She says if Labour really wanted to stop illegal migrants coming to our country, they could.
I mean, this is a problem that has now dogged 2 different administrations. Part of that is our ECHR difficulty and our ability to return the people who are coming here illegally. We have an easier time returning people who have jumped a visa, who have stayed longer, and who we have a relationship with the country that they've come from. It's very difficult to return people if we have no diplomatic relationship or visa return relationship with their point of origin. And so there are difficulties that will dog any party that's in government, particularly if we remain within ECHR. So it's disappointing that the Home Secretary is balking at the idea of joining what is a much wider campaign now to say ECHR is not working for this country.
Look at that Egypt that threatened to shoot Nigel Farage, right? And he's been put in prison for 5 years or so yesterday. Why are we bothering with him? Why isn't he just packed off in a plane back to Afghanistan?
Because the chances are he might try and get back into the country and we wouldn't be able to stop him. The first part of this segment, which says that our borders are too porous and we can't stop anybody, is what answers the question in the second part of the segment, which is we keep hold of him because we know where he is if he's in our prison.
Yeah. But we're paying for him.
We are, and that's one of the downsides, but we can't send him back to Afghanistan and guarantee that he'll be put in prison and not celebrated as some kind of hero. So while that's the case, I'd rather that someone who made a live threat against a sitting member of parliament or any member of parliament, past or present, is kept in our prison to face our justice system because he committed the crime here.
Yeah. Lauren, thank you very much indeed for all your views. Thanks, folks at home, for having your say. We just want to interrupt Lauren there because some breaking news coming in. Royal Mail has been fined. It's got a fine of £21 million for missing its first and second class mail delivery targets in the financial year for 24-25. This has been implemented by Ofcom. So £21 million for missing targets, Royal Mail. And Royal Mail is a company, Lauren, I don't know if you've got a view on Royal Mail, but they seemingly directionless as to what they're supposed to be doing. They obviously don't want to make deliveries. They want to cut them out on Saturdays and cut them down during the week and whatever.
I think significantly lower numbers of people are using the postal service. People aren't writing letters as much anymore. People aren't receiving statements in the post anymore. They're getting They're getting their statements online. And so Royal Mail and the Post Office have to, as the two entities, have to balance fewer people using the system with how they then provide a service where we used to require 2 deliveries a day. And frankly, from the volume, we probably don't anymore. But if they cannot meet their minimum service requirement, that's an even bigger problem. But they have a problem with how many people do they need to employ, how many individuals can actually make these routes. They can't make the routes much bigger without severely impacting some of these individuals because they're walking routes still for a lot of them. It's a big balancing act for them, and I sympathise because it's tough and not enough people are using the system to pay for it well enough.
Well, Ofcom have said that this is the 3rd largest fine that they have ever issued. And the Director of Enforcement says that millions of important letters are arriving late. People aren't getting what they pay for when they buy a stamp. Royal Mail only delivered 77% of first-class mail and 92% of second-class mail on time. Just not good enough.
OK. Thanks very much, Lauren. Thank you. Middle East now, and President Trump has threatened to disarm Hamas after they carried out a mass execution in Gaza yesterday. This is what he had to say.
They don't disarm, we will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games, okay? Now, we did something monumental. We got the hostages back. That was the first thing we had to do. Above all else, get the hostages back. Now, they misrepresented because we were told they had 26, 24 of dead hostages, if we can use those terms. And it seems as though they don't have that.
Well, Hamas is believed to be reasserting control in Gaza, targeting suspected collaborators as it tries to tighten its grip following Israel's withdrawal from key areas.
Now, all of this is coming just days after Trump declared he had secured peace in the region. Easier said than done. Let's hear from journalist and broadcaster Kevin Myers on this one. Kevin, I'm sure you were like the rest of us, Trump saying it's over and it being over 2 different things.
Yes, of course, and Trump is a salesman, he's a businessman, he's a transactionalist, he believes in the deal. Now, he always will talk up a deal that he has been central to the negotiations of, but it's quite clear from a neutral outsider that you cannot simply disarm something like Hamas by willpower alone. This has to be done by coercion. The only thing that Hamas understands is naked power. It is a body of nihilist, messianic, Khmer Rouge, Waffen-SS cross.
Yeah, so what's going to be done? I mean, he said this may or may not involve violence. I mean, it has to involve violence because they don't really understand anything else, do they?
Oh, it looks as though we've just lost connection there with Kevin Myers. We'll try and reconnect with him and bring that to you.
But her point is that, you know, Trump sits there and says, this is over, he's going to do this, he knows, they know I'm being serious about this. What's he going to do? Send in American troops, American boots on the ground? Send in NATO forces, let Israel back in again?
It would be Israel again, wouldn't it? And that would be the end of a ceasefire, which is already so fragile.
Trump thinks that he just by saying things makes it happen, and in a war situation, it's just not going to be the case. Let us know your views as to what you think is the next step. The weather, oh, well, it's a funny old thing. There's nothing much moving. There's a big grey cloud right over the whole country because we're in the middle of a high-pressure thingy-majig.
Oh, you're across the detail.
Well, I know, but just this high pressure sitting over the country, and there's no wind.
Oh, right.
There's basically no wind. That's what's happening.
I think you could give Aidan McGivern a run for his money.
Well, good morning, Aidan.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Another cloudy day for most of us, with a few light showers around, otherwise dry, but lucky some will have some sunshine. A few cloud breaks possible in the south first thing, likewise for West Wales, but the largest cloud breaks, once again, like the previous few days, central and northern parts of Scotland, particularly over the Highlands and the Grampians, where the clouds are poking through the cloud and reaching the sunshine above. Some light showers around coasts, but otherwise it's dry. It's not particularly chilly. It's not particularly warm either under the grey leaden skies, temperatures around the mid-teens. Then heading into the evening, well, we keep those clear skies across much of central Scotland. There is some thicker cloud for the north and northwest of Scotland. Some light showers associated with this as well. Cloud hugging the Western Isles, but clear inland. Through the central belt, mostly cloudy. Likewise for southern Scotland, Northern Ireland, much of England. But for Wales, well, a large part of West Wales and parts of Cornwall and Devon seeing some clear spells as we go into the night. And that's why we'll see big contrasts overnight from place to place, because where we keep the cloud, it's going to be a mild night. We'll avoid fog, but we will see a few mist patches forming as the cloud lowers a little. Where we keep the clear skies, there will be some fog patches and perhaps a touch of frost, or at least a ground frost, with temperatures heading towards the low single figures in a few spots. But otherwise, it's a reasonably mild start to Thursday, but again, a reasonably cloudy one. I think there's a better chance through the day tomorrow of some decent cloud breaks developing. Just about anywhere could see these. They'll come and go. Very fickle, this low cloud. And into Friday and the weekend, likewise, some cloud breaks, some sunshine otherwise largely cloudy, until the end of the weekend when it turns more settled.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now it's time for the Great British Giveaway now, and here are all of the details that you need for a chance to make it yours.
You're not going to want to miss our greatest Great British Giveaway so far. You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this brand new 2025 Benimar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. And remember, if you can dream it, you can drive it away. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Up next on the programme, we've got lots of pictures from a surprise royal visit to Northern Ireland yesterday. William and Kate rolled up their sleeves for flood rescue training. They weren't very good at it, but they went to the orchards in Armagh and all
drank some
sorts
cider,
of things. Very nice.
they?
But they didn't mix with the public.
Did they not?
No, they did not. And I was just wondering what all that was about. Was that a security issue or what? But we're going to talk about that. We're going to show you all the lovely pictures of what they get up to. And Kate in her outfit of green, obviously green paying tribute to the Emerald Isle after this.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
The Prince and Princess of Wales, William and Catherine, were in Northern Ireland yesterday. It was all a bit of a surprise. It was the first time they'd been there together in 3 years.
Yes, during their whistle-stop tour, they tried their hand at flood rescue and they spent time visiting a flax farm in County Tyrone, where they were shown the modern methods being used to make linen.
Tyrone. Drone.
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 Okay.
Well, our royal correspondent Cameron Walker was with the royal couple.
The future king saving future firefighters. Well, almost. He missed his target when trying to throw a tow line in a simulated flash flood. The Prince and Princess of Wales were visiting Northern Ireland Fire and Rescue Service's brand new training centre, one of only 2 in the world with a flood water rescue simulator. After watching the next generation practice saving casualties from high-rise buildings, they hitched a ride in a fire engine. The driver given strict instructions despite a special royal request.
The princess was wanting the sirens on, but he was strictly told no.
Down the road, a local farm is preserving traditional skills. Linen was once Northern Ireland's biggest export. Now, Malon Farm's spearheading a revival of flax growing and linen making. The prince keen to scale up.
So do you feel like it's at a cost of potentially very new technology helping produce flax at a bigger scale?
Exactly.
But what do consumers think? Farmer Helen Keyes spoke to Catherine.
We had a good discussion about the importance of people knowing, how and where the fibres were grown for their clothes.
You can just sip it, but you are getting you really can taste the vinegar from it.
Farming is thirsty work, so what better way to end their surprise trip to Northern Ireland by visiting Long Meadow Cider, an award-winning family-run farm in the heart of County Armagh. Luckily for the Prince of Wales, he didn't live up to his nickname, One Pint Willie. Cameron Walker, GB News in Northern Ireland.
Just wonder why they didn't meet the general public yesterday.
I think you're right. It's probably a security issue.
Yeah, probably a security issue.
Mm.
If I had a camera out yesterday, I could take lots and lots of pictures to celebrate Northern Ireland and show you how beautiful it is. And we've been asking you to do just that.
Yeah, we need your help now to decide which pictures are going to feature in our very first GB News charity calendar.
Now, after an incredible response, because we asked you 4 photographs of this, and we've received some truly stunning submissions from right across the whole country, right across the UK. Snow-capped mountains there, seaside sunsets, village greens, city skylines, castles, all sorts of things. There's no shortage of stuff, and every penny of the profit of this calendar will go to the London Taxi Drivers Charity for Children.
Yeah, which has been bringing joy to disadvantaged and special needs children since 1928. The charity is proudly supported by Queen Camilla, and it helps to provide vital support for those who need it most.
So, you can get involved in this and help us choose the pictures that best capture Britain. To vote, simply follow the QR code on the screen. And from us to you, thank you very much for taking part.
Stunning pictures there, aren't there? Still to come, celebrations for England as they book their place at the World Cup. More on that with Paul Coit. That's next.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. A broken down vehicle on the A90 northbound between Kinfauns and Glencarse is causing restrictions. Drivers should proceed with caution. On the M4 westbound near Wokingham, one lane is closed. Normal conditions are anticipated by 7:42. In Hampshire, a collision on the M27 westbound between Junction 11 and Junction 9 has one lane closed. Conditions are expected to return to normal by 8:35. And on the trains, northern buses are replacing trains between Corkickle and Whitehaven, and there are disruptions between Liverpool Lime Street and Manchester. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Well, he did threaten us the last time he was here that he would wear a tie, and I have to say, it suits him, Ellie.
It does suit him. Lou's been in touch saying Coity needs to wear a tie. And look.
You know what? Sometimes one has to make a little... You know what? The crazy thing is that I'm walking around the office and people go, oh, my God, it's honestly, you'd think I had a huge hat on with a big fake moustache or something. Just the fact that I've got a tie on.
I think it just shows how scruffy you are normally.
You know what? For this, I will agree with you.
Coity, I really like it.
Do you think I should...
really smart.
Do I look like a Wimbledon line judge?
Yes.
Out!
You do, actually. It suits you.
It's like a school tie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's a bit.
Yeah. Our old school ties. So what we used to have when we got to the 5th year, that they had badges. It was Redden Court School in Essex, and they had little badges on there. But at the time in the 80s, everybody had the thin pencil touch. So they wanted it to look like that. So they would turn them upside down. But the badge would be upside down. But what I did was found a way around that. If you just have that little bit there and tie it, and then you have the rest of the tie goes down to your knee, tuck that in your trousers, and then you have the badge the right way.
Very good.
Little tip for
Very good.
one there.
Right. Well, congratulations, England. They're in the World Cup finals.
They are first European country qualified. 2 games to go. Played Latvia last night. You know, it was really quite easy, and they are doing extremely well. Latvia are not a great side, I'll be honest. I mean, it's not going to be like when they get to the World Cup finals, but they are playing very well. Very well.
Too early to say that we're looking pretty good?
No, I think I'm actually going to say yes. I think we are. We're looking as good as I've seen us for a long time. I've said that a few times over the years, but I think it's OK. So there were complaints about the fans from Thomas Tuchel with the Wales game, and he was saying that he didn't think the fans were loud enough. They responded. They sang, "Are we loud enough for you?" singing into Thomas Tuchel, and he responded to that.
Yeah, I got a bit of stick today in the first half. I was almost in every song, so fair enough. Well done, I take it, and good humour, good sense of humour, and accept it.
I don't think I've seen him smile before. He seemed very happy.
He quite enjoyed that, I think.
He did. Things are going well for England, so I'm not surprised. Also, England, we've got the Ashes coming up, cricket in Australia.
When is it coming up?
It's next month. Starts towards the end of next month.
Yeah.
And the Ashes, England versus Australia, which we're very excited about. Now, there was talk a couple of days ago, Ian Botham saying that England were disrespecting the Ashes, the fact that they were playing these warm-up games. They weren't proper warm-up games. The only way that you can actually be fit is by playing more cricket. And Stuart Broad has now said that Australia have the worst team that they've had for 15 years, and England look the strongest since 2011. So I'm very excited about that. So the Ashes get underway. Do you want to play birthdays?
Please.
Yeah.
OK. Let's see what we've got for you. Got some sporting birthdays. We haven't had one on the nose for a while, have we? First one?
We got one yesterday on the nose, both of us.
Did you?
Yeah.
Andy Cole.
Yeah. How old is Andy Cole?
Andy has
Manchester
got
United
to be...
striker, England striker?
He's got to be mid-50s.
Yeah,
yes.
mid-50s.
You're right.
54.
54?
I wouldn't argue.
You're both going to go 54.
What, mate, what?
You're going to both say 54?
Yeah.
And they're both correct.
Yay!
Very good start. OK, very good.
I was going to say 55, but...
You made the right decision. OK, let's go again. Paul Robinson. Paul Robinson, ex-Leeds, Spurs, England goalkeeper.
I would say...
Friend of ours, he's been on the show many times.
I'd say 42.
I'm going to say 48.
Somewhere in between.
45.
63. No, 46.
46.
46 for Paul Robinson. Next one. Now, this is an interesting one. Mesut Ozil, ex-Arsenal. You know what? Do you remember we did that thing about how much he looked like Enzo Ferrari? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Let's have a look at those. Have we got those? There's Enzo Ferrari, the founder of this is way back. This is like from the 1920s. Look at that.
Oh, they're doppelgangers.
That was 1923.
Wow.
And there's Mesut Ozil, I believe, on the right. It really is. In fact,
that is a bit spooky. That really is.
Ferrari on the left looks more like Mesut Ozil than the picture of Mesut Ozil on the right-hand side. But how old is Mesut Ozil today?
You ask if people lived before, and there you are.
It really is quite.
I have no idea. I'd say he's 40.
40.
Oh, I was going to say like 34.
Again, in between, 37.
Oh.
Right, one more.
37, did you say?
37.
Yeah.
Right, Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
Former heavyweight champion of the world.
The big 3-0.
The big 3-0. OK.
36.
36 is the correct.
Is it?
Eamonn, well done.
Very good work.
He was
good.
older.
Good game, good game.
Good game. Yes.
Coming up in the next hour, we have Pat Jennings joining us to talk about his auction of football shirts.
Yeah.
Our favourite goalie ever.
If you want some gloves and shorts and...
Socks.
All sorts of things.
And you've got a spare 10 grand.
You can have them. You can have them. So Pat's auctioning off his clothing.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you, my friend.
Good stuff.
We'll talk what's in the newspapers and what's keeping you going in the newspapers today. The new Chancellor of Oxford University is waging war on the cancel culture.
Yeah, saying there will be no safe spaces for new students. We're going to be discussing that in the papers with Christo and Scarlett in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast across Europe.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you are searching for some holiday sunshine, I can recommend Portugal as one of the warmer and sunnier spots on Thursday. Drier in the Balearics following a wet start to the week, but the rain that has affected parts of Spain and the Balearics now moving through Sardinia, affecting parts of southern Italy into Greece as well. So very lively thunderstorms and some large rainfall amounts. Still some showers across Spain, otherwise mostly fine for Portugal. And the wet weather in Greece becomes more widespread into Croatia and Greece later on.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Dramatic scenes in a North London street as police move in to arrest members of an organised crime gang. Inside their vehicle, evidence of a multi-million-pound trade in phone theft. A large number of stolen smartphones are discovered, all wrapped in tinfoil to block any phone signal and prevent their owners tracing them. After a year-long investigation, Scotland Yard says it has now dismantled the criminal operation that they believe is responsible for smuggling more than 40,000 stolen smartphones over to China. Officers have now recovered thousands of stolen smartphones as their investigation continues. Many of the handsets stolen in street robberies end up in shops like this. Officers recovered multiple stolen phones and arrested 2 men on suspicion of money laundering after finding £40,000 in cash.
So my warning to people that are involved in this criminal enterprise, whether it be shop workers, the shopkeepers, or even the faceless enterprise businessmen who own multiple different venues, is that you may have felt like you were acting with impunity and that we weren't coming after you and we couldn't come after you, and that actually the crime pays. So if eventually we do come, then that's just a business loss. Is that we are coming after you, we are going to come and conduct warrants, not just on your business premises, but we will target you at home, we'll target you in your cars. Nowhere is safe to conduct criminal enterprise.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
William Hague, former leader of the Conservative Party, is the new Chancellor of Oxford University. And Christo, he's talking tough about students and what they should expect.
Yes, he is saying that there will be no safe spaces, and is saying that to undergraduates and others at the university, look, you're going to hear things that offend you. Now, he is the new, as you said, the new Chancellor of Oxford University, and obviously they've got a history of this, what's called cancel culture, because of Kathleen Stock. She is the gender-critical professor of philosophy who felt obliged to resign because students called for it. But
actually, she wasn't at Oxford. She was at Sussex.
Oh, yes, you're quite right. University of Sussex.
Yeah, nobody's been sacked from Oxford.
But that's obviously part of the whole area of higher education where students feel like they shouldn't hear opinions that they don't like. And what William Hague is saying is, look, Oxford is not going to be a place that is like that, which I think is a good thing.
But actually, can I say he is pushing at an open door? I mean, we pretend that it goes on all the time. So next week, I'm going up to a debate that is about cancel culture and has Toby Young up against Zoe Williams from The Guardian to talk about cancel culture that actually that is organised by the Master of Worcester College. And that's why he's doing it, to say we need to listen to people. There are lots and lots of views. So William Hague he really is pushing at an open door, and Oxford has always had very, very provocative speeches.
And maybe Oxford, you're right. I don't think Oxford specifically has a huge problem with it, but within society, this problem still exists. It does, that people sort of.
We were talking about this morning, about this Generation Z.
Yeah, there's a story in the Times this morning. 70% of managers struggling to handle junior staff, Gen Z colleagues, and one of them, this is reason number 2, is because they are demanding safe spaces at work. So if their cat's died or they're struggling with anxiety or something like that, they demand to have this safe space to go to the day off.
What would your safe space be? I mean, if you and I wanted a safe space in here, could we get one?
Probably one of the little rooms at the back there. Maybe that would be a safe space. They're always booked, though.
But can I join you?
No chance.
Or would you need it from me?
You'd need your own safe space, wouldn't you?
So you need a safe space from me, is what you're saying.
But I do think that we do, on things like, pets dying or something, that actually we do need to think that, you don't just get the day off if your mum dies or something. That sometimes, I remember when my daughter, I think she was 4 and her hamster died, and I took her into school and I said, look, her hamster's died over the weekend, she's really traumatised, and the teacher went, she'll be fine. And I picked her up that evening, and the teacher went, she hasn't spoken all day, she's just drawn pictures of the hamster. I'm afraid
I think there should be more consideration for bereavement I think
Yes.
someone dies. In Ireland, that's like priority all the time, whereas in England, people just don't mention someone has died, and there's like 4 weeks before they're buried, and whereas in Ireland, it's 3 days. You know?
Right.
I would say that probably, because I agree with bereavement being a really important thing that people need time off for, but I know people in the corporate space that, you know, aren't in journalism, but you and I have spoken about this before as well when we've had editors that have screamed at us. I've got friends in the corporate world. They send an email to a colleague who's junior saying, oh, hi, sorry, that work wasn't quite good enough, you didn't take on board my feedback. And they collapse, these younger members of staff. They can't actually take any negative feedback, any criticism whatsoever. And again, you know, when I think about when we were all starting out, editors screaming in my face. Now, it wasn't a pleasant experience, but actually, you know, it gave me the resilience to keep going.
Well, I think there's something in between. I do remember an editor reducing me to tears, and I was absolutely humiliated. But I think there's something in between. But actually, you know, you just wonder. You do wonder about the parents in this case, because in school they're told, you know, you have to pass exams, you have to get your spelling
but also
right.
everyone has to win in school. No one can win and lose, because otherwise...
This is a myth.
That's not a myth.
This is a myth. You have to pass your GCSEs.
Yes,
you
true.
have to pass your
A-levels. But not everyone needs a prize when you've been doing something. There are people that win and lose.
No, I'm saying that this is a myth, is that actually in school, right, you do have to get past your exams, you do have to get your marks. And actually school is quite, even with the kindest of teachers, school is quite tough. And so one wonders what is affecting Gen Z.
Scarlett, let's have a look at something totally different, shall we? In the Telegraph this morning, it's caught our eye. How foxes plunged a sleepy village into civil war.
This village is called Portchester. I don't know where Portchester is.
It's Hampshire, isn't it?
Are you a friend of foxes, or do you think that they are villains? That's the question.
And while they concentrate, so what they're saying is that these foxes come and they destroy. They don't just eat pet rabbits, but they get under cars and they eat leads and things. So they destroy lots of things. But it's not just in somewhere like. And then there are people who feed them. There's no question about that. And
I feed them.
And I remember in my back garden, and I was having a lot of people to supper, and we noticed that there were foxes who just... I mean, I live in town, right? I live in a terrace. Back, and what we noticed was that some of these foxes were just fine with us. And actually, they're used to humans, and they're being fed. They are being fed. And that's the problem. And that's why it's absolutely split this village, is the people who put out food and the people who are having things destroyed.
Well, my other half used to, you know, sneak out dog food for them, and then I remember I used to go to work at 4 in the morning, and I'd close the front door, and I'd then feel this look, and on the top of the bin store would be this fox just there, staring, just waiting, and it was quite unnerving. Then I was doing my window boxes one day, right, you know, planting them up for summer. What did I find in my window box? An egg. Then I find in the next window box a cheese. And what the foxes were doing was stealing from, you know, the milk float when it was delivering on people's doorsteps, and they were then burying all of this stuff in my front garden.
Well, giving you a present.
I thought the neighbours were having a laugh with me, putting eggs in my window boxes.
Giving your partner a present.
Were storing them.
But a dog has the same instincts. Dogs do exactly the same thing. Yeah. And I think we're not far away from befriending foxes. I think it's the right thing to do. When you think of what they get to eat out of a bin or whatever, how they survive, goodness knows. But I don't have any problem with feeding a fox.
They're a bit quieter, though, that's all. The only thing when they're sort of howling in the middle of the night.
Well, when they're having sex, honestly... They scream.
I hope it's the foxes you're hearing. That's what's going on.
Scarlett, let's have a look at women's running trainers.
Right. I think this is a really important story. Is that basically we all know that women and men are made differently, and that there are lots of things that are different. But actually, women's trainers are just small versions of men trainers, as they say, pinked up, okay, to make it look like women. And actually, women's trainers need to be a different sort of shape. And that's why so many women footballers have that terrible ACL, that their thing goes in their knee. And it is because they're not wearing the proper trainers. And this is a story that has been going on for a long time, and it's about time that people took it seriously.
Okay.
Scarlett, Christo, thank you very much. We'll see you in about
Welcome.
5 minutes' time. Let us know what you think on any of those stories. gbnews.com/yoursay.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Another cloudy day for most of us, with a few light showers around, otherwise dry, but lucky some will have some sunshine. A few cloud breaks possible in the south first thing, likewise for West Wales, but the largest cloud breaks, once again, like the previous few days, central and northern parts of Scotland, particularly over the Highlands and the Grampians, where the clouds are poking through the cloud and reaching the sunshine above. Some light showers around coasts, but otherwise it's dry. It's not particularly chilly. It's not particularly warm either under the grey leaden skies, temperatures around the mid-teens. Then heading into the evening, well, we keep those clear skies across much of central Scotland. There is some thicker cloud for the north and northwest of Scotland. Some light showers associated with this as well. Cloud hugging the Western Isles, but clear inland. Through the central belt, mostly cloudy. Likewise for southern Scotland, Northern Ireland, much of England. But for Wales, well, a large part of West Wales and parts of Cornwall and Devon seeing some clear spells as we go into the night. And that's why we'll see big contrasts overnight from place to place, because where we keep the cloud, it's going to be a mild night. We'll avoid fog, but we will see a few mist patches forming as the cloud lowers a little. Where we keep the clear skies, there will be some fog patches and perhaps a touch of frost, or at least a ground frost, with temperatures heading towards the low single figures in a few spots. But otherwise, it's a reasonably mild start to Thursday, but again, a reasonably cloudy one. I think there's a better chance through the day tomorrow of some decent cloud breaks developing. Just about anywhere could see these. They'll come and go. Very fickle, this low cloud. And into Friday and the weekend, likewise, some cloud breaks, some sunshine, otherwise largely cloudy, until the end of the weekend when it turns more settled.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. A broken down vehicle on the A90 northbound between Kinfauns and Glencarse, east of Perth, requires caution. There's congestion on the M4 eastbound from junction 24 Caldra to junction 23 Amarga. A collision on the A19 southbound in Stockton-on-Tees is causing 40-minute delays. A major incident on the M6 in Warwickshire has closed 3 lanes, resulting in 10-minute delays. The M27 westbound in Hampshire has 30-minute delays from junction 12 to 11. And on the trains, major disruption affects Northern and TransPennine Express services. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
There's just 3 weeks left to see how you could be our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I think for far too long in this country, millions of people felt as though they weren't represented at all by the establishment media.
GB News was needed because there literally was no other voice. Everyone was saying the same thing.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first. GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
But journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience. Charlie Peters, he gave a voice to the victims of grooming gangs, and now, of course, it's led to a national inquiry.
GB News exists to make sure those concerns are put forward, and people feel as though what they want to ask is put to those in power.
We don't take orders from anyone. We ask the questions our viewers and listeners want answering.
I know what's actually being discussed by my family and my friends. Us ordinary, hard-working British people have had enough. We've had enough.
They're fed up with the same old establishment nonsense. Everything that we do is opening up conversations that others are afraid to go at.
Why are you illegally bringing people into Britain?
That is our job. Our job is to get to the truth.
If it's important to you watching or listening at home, then it's important to us as well.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Hello there, very good morning to you. Eamonn and Ellie here with you until 9:30. Headlines: the Home Secretary will admit today that Britain has lost control of its borders.
Shabana Mahmood says the immigration crisis is eroding trust in politicians and damaging the credibility of the state.
But with the new one-in, one-out partial returns deal under fire and channel crossings still rising, can this government really take back that control?
We will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games.
As Hamas carry out public executions on the streets of Gaza, President Trump warns the terrorist group of repercussions if they fail to disarm.
Just breaking this morning, Royal Mail has been fined £21 million for missing first and second class mail delivery targets in the last financial year.
A new mega poll projects that Nigel Farage is set for the biggest Commons majority ever, with the Tories reduced to just 7 MPs and Labour ministers culled.
Britain faces the worst living standards growth in the West, according to the International Monetary Fund.
Today marks the 4th anniversary of Sir David Amess's murder, an MP who was tragically killed at his constituency surgery. We heard from his daughter earlier this morning.
We are just absolutely broken. Our lives are destroyed. I feel like I can never be fully happy again, knowing that this happened to my dad in such a shocking and horrific way.
From dodging calls to demanding greater focus on mental health. Youngsters are reshaping the office environment, but many seniors there aren't impressed. We're asking, are Generation Z simply lazy?
Sport this morning, England have now qualified for the World Cup finals in style, scoring 5 again away from home, this time in Latvia. In China, Emma Raducanu suffers the worst defeat of her career. And, well, we'd call him the world's greatest ever goalkeeper. Pat Jennings auctions his collection of football shirts later today, and he joins us in about 20 minutes.
Another grey start for most of us this morning, but the sun is coming out in a few places. Find out where in the forecast coming up soon.
Hello there, very good morning to you. 2 minutes past 8 o'clock. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Let's start with our top story. The Home Secretary expected to call out Britain's failure to control its borders today.
Shabana Mahmood will say the migrant crisis is destroying trust and the credibility of the whole country.
The Home Secretary will attempt to collaborate with Balkan nations in an attempt to secure Britain's borders. Well, the Home Secretary is expected to issue one of her frankest assessments yet, as migrants now face tougher language rules for visas.
We're joined now by the Shadow Minister for Policy Renewal and Development, Neil O'Brien. Neil, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, the Home Secretary, first of all, with what she's going to say, and she's going to say this to the Balkan nations. How tough do you think she can be today?
Look, I don't buy for a second the idea that the government are going to get tough on immigration. We've already seen what they've done. I mean, the first thing they did was to get rid of our Rwanda deal, the deterrent to stop people from coming here illegally. Then they scrapped our plans to tighten up the family route, which allows people to come here and often not work. And we can see that they're saying, unlike us, we would leave the ECHR, they want to stay in it. And the ECHR is the reason where we see all these absurd cases where dangerous foreign criminals are not deported because they claim human rights law. And the government, led by human rights lawyer Keir Starmer, are never going to do anything about that because this is what they believe in. So I just don't buy for a second the idea that the government are going to get tough on immigration. It's just tough talk and no substance.
Pretty grim reading in terms of the economy this morning. Number of jobless hits a 4-year high. We're facing the highest inflation in the G7, the worst growth living standards in the West, a black hole of up to 30 billion. Obviously, all eyes on the budget next month. Rachel Reeves, meanwhile, blaming austerity, Brexit and the ongoing impact of Liz Truss's mini-budget. She says all of those things have weighed heavily on the UK economy. What do you make of that news, and what do you make of Rachel Reeves' assessment there?
Well, the situation is bleak, and they blame everyone but themselves. The truth is, the Labour came in and they spent 10 times more than they said they would before the election. They borrowed loads more money, and that combination of spending a lot more, taxing a lot more, tax rises that they said that they wouldn't do before the election, by the way, and borrowing a lot more, that has pushed economic growth down, and it's put us into a kind of vicious circle where you have lower growth, more tax rises, and then they go back for even more tax rises because of the lower growth and the higher borrowing. And even just a couple of months ago, the Chancellor was saying, oh, I won't come back with even more tax rises. These are the last ones. And now here she is a couple of months later saying there will be even more tax rises. So you can't believe a word they say. They broke the promises before the election. They broke the promises they made after the election. And until something changes, we actually get a grip on spending in the way that the Conservatives are proposing, then we'll just end up in this vicious circle with the economy going down and down and down, and tragically, more and more young people unemployed, which is just heartbreaking.
I mean, pretty bleak reading for you this morning as well. This new mega poll projecting that Nigel Farage is set to win the biggest Commons majority ever. This is if a general election were to be called tomorrow. The Tories reduced to just 7 MPs and Labour culled as well. I mean, according to this mega poll, you're going to be wiped out. You're finished as a party.
Look, we're 4 years away from a general election. Different polls say different things. There was a positive poll after our very successful party conference that we had.
There are so many polls now putting
last
reform
week
on
that
top.
showed lots of things moving in the direction. Yeah, So there's a lot to do. Like, I am very clear. We have to approach all these things with a sense of humility. We got booted out last year and we had got a lot of things wrong, and we are really clear about those things and how we would fix them and how things would be different. Kemi Badenoch has us under new leadership. So in the last general election, people said to me on the doorsteps they were really, really angry about the small boats and out of control immigration. They were right to be. I was as angry as they were, and that's why we are now saying we would leave the ECHR, and that would enable us to cut through all of these legal obstacles and get dangerous foreign criminals and people who should not be here deported from this country. That's just one example of how we're under new management. But on the economy as well, we're clear about how we would control.
But Neil, what about the detail of the examples that you're giving there? I mean, you're saying that, you know, you would change things, you would make things differently. How exactly would you? What are the big radical steps?
So there's several big steps to it. So obviously the first step is that we have to leave the ECHR. And even people on the Labour side, like Jack Straw and David Blunkett, are now admitting it's a massive problem and it's stopping us from deporting dangerous foreign criminals. But that's not the only thing we need to do. We set out our plans last week, Kemi Badenoch set out our plans to deport 150,000 people a year and set up a new removals force with a doubling of the budget so that we can get all these dangerous people who should not be here out of this country and do it quickly. And the other thing we've said is, look, if you come to this country illegally, if you get in a small boat, we're not going to let you claim asylum. We're not going to hear your claim. We're not going to go through some 7-year-long legal process. We are just going to deport you, as simple as that. We're not going to allow you to claim asylum. We're not going to put you into a legal process. We're just going to get you out of this country. So don't come here illegally. Don't get in a small boat. Don't bother, because the UK is going to be close to you. And that, until we do that, until the government get real and do what we are advocating, the problem will get fixed.
Need people just loving hearing what you're saying there, because that's it simple. That is doing what it says on the bottle. That's what people want, really, at the end of the day. And are you saying it's the personalities involved, that Keir Starmer is a human rights lawyer, that's the simple thing that prevents it, or is it Labour philosophy?
Yeah, I think that is the obstacle, really, to this. I mean, he doesn't believe in much. He changes his mind on most other things. But the one thing that Keir Starmer never changes his mind on is he regards the ECHR and all its human rights law as sacred. And some of these ideas, once upon a time in the 1950s, they seemed like reasonable ideas. But the courts and the lawyers, they've twisted them out of all recognition. And it is not right to say, oh, you know, this guy who's a paedophile from Pakistan, he can't be deported. Could he face hostility in his home country? Well, hang on a minute. He'll face hostility here because of the things he's done, and he should have thought about that first. And all these other cases where people are making these extraordinary excuses using human rights lawyer to be allowed to stay in this country. They say, oh, you know, I can't get as good health care in my home country as I can from the NHS, therefore I've got to be allowed to stay. And then being allowed to stay by the courts. It's not right, and people are going mad about it. And until we leave the ECHR, we are not going to fix this, and people are just going to get more and more angry, and rightly so.
Neil, just very briefly, because we are out of time with you, just wanted to ask about the China spy case. The Conservatives still have big questions to ask from this government. What do you want to see from the government?
Look, the CPS have been really clear that the obstacle to these people being prosecuted was the government's unwillingness to say that China was a threat or to give them the evidence that they needed. And firstly, I want to hear from the government why they did that. Why would they not give the CPS the simple things that they needed to prosecute these men? So I'm one of the people who was sanctioned by China. I'm sure I was one of the people who was spied on by China and left wondering if my home was spied on by these people. And I don't have any justice. Without a trial, I don't know what actually happened. And I am shocked that the government allowed this vital national security case to collapse. And a lot of people are now wondering whether they have prioritised diplomatic relations over our national security, and I think they're right to ask that question, because I am appalled by what the government have done here, and they have massive, massive questions that they are just stonewalling on.
That is the question. Neil O'Brien, good talking to you this morning. Thank you very much indeed. Neil is a Conservative MP. Thank you. Our political correspondent Olivia Utley was listening in on that, and fighting talk there from Neil O'Brien.
Well, fighting talk, absolutely, and the Conservatives have now said, like Reform, that they would want to leave the ECHR. Shabana Mahmood has come out fighting against that today. She says that actually the way to tackle the immigration problem is not by looking inwards. This is very clearly an implicit criticism both of Nigel Farage and of the Conservatives, but by looking outwards. And she talks about that much maligned returns deal with France. She talks about the deal with Germany to try and stop the people smugglers at source. She's now trying to make some sort of deal with the Western Balkan states. She's hoping that somewhere like Kosovo might take migrants in a sort of hub, migrants who come over here illegally. If she were able to get that kind of deal going, it would make a difference. There are 35,000 migrants came across the Channel in 2024. 22,000 came across the Balkan states. You don't hear about them so much, but that would make a bit of a difference. The point that Nigel Farage and Neil O'Brien were making there is that the issue is you can fiddle around, you can make these deals, etc. But while there are still pull factors over to the UK, the migrants will just keep coming. And both the Tories and Reform are now saying that unless you leave the ECHR, then those pull factors will still be there, because migrants can be pretty sure that with the right lawyer on their case, they'll be able to stay in the UK. It's up to the government to address that problem.
OK, Olivia Utley, thank you very much. Now, today marks 4 years since the Southend West MP Sir David Amess was tragically murdered at his constituency surgery.
Now, Sir David has served as an MP for 40 years, known for his dedication to his community, and his family, colleagues and constituents continue to remember his life and legacy. We spoke to his daughter Katie earlier this morning.
We are just absolutely broken. Our lives are destroyed. I feel like I can never be fully happy again knowing that this happened to my dad in such a shocking and horrific way. And 4 years on, we still don't have any answers as to why somebody that was known to the government Prevent scheme and to the police was allowed to go back onto the street to commit this atrocity. I've been asking the government for an inquiry to find out why they only had one meeting with the guy and they didn't have the other 7 that were budgeted to find out if he was a terrorist. And so far it's fallen on deaf ears, and Sir Keir is refusing to do an inquiry for us.
Well, we're joined in the studio now by Conservative MP Mark Francois, who was, or is, the MP for Rayleigh and Wickford, which is the neighbouring constituency to Southend West. And Sir David Amess was your very best friend, wasn't he, Mark? So today must be a very difficult day for you.
It is a bit. Thank you for having me on. He was murdered on the Friday, and we were all traumatised, and we paid tributes in the House of Commons the following Monday. And I said in the Commons that he was, quite simply, the best bloke I ever knew. Oh. And I stand by that. And it was such a terrible loss. He was on track to become the father of the house because he was elected very young. Yeah. And as you say, he did nearly 40 years of continuous service. So I described him again on the day as probably the best father of the house we would never now have. And I have a great deal of sympathy for the Amess's family's call for a public inquiry, and if I have a moment, I could explain why that is. But we still miss him in the Commons. Now we miss his sort of Essex, cheeky, chappy grin. He had more front than Brighton, that bloke. And we're a poorer house without him.
That's a wonderful tribute you paid there to your friend. Let's talk about a national inquiry, shall we? Because you've spoken personally to Sir Keir Starmer about this, haven't you? Yes.
So the Amess family feel very strongly that, you know, Prevent missed the guy who killed him. I'm not even going to mention the guy's name. But he had one interview with Prevent, which took the form of someone from Prevent meeting him for a cup of coffee in McDonald's. You know, this wasn't in an office block and all. And afterwards, this Prevent officer basically wrote up a report and says, yeah, he seems a nice enough young man. There were no further interviews and they effectively closed the case. So they didn't prevent David's murder. Prevent doesn't do what it says on the tin, and we spend billions on it.
Yeah.
So the Amess family want a public inquiry. Now, public inquiries are expensive, but look at how much we spend on Prevent.
Yeah. Lives are expensive too.
They are. And so if the government won't grant a separate public inquiry on David, my suggestion, and I put this personally to the Prime Minister, I don't think it's to betray our confidence to say that now, but I suggested to Sir Keir's face that the next best thing would be to amend, just tweak the terms of reference for the Southport inquiry, which clearly is going to look at Prevent, so that they could roll into that inquiry looking at what happened in David's case as well. There would be some minor additional cost, but it would be minuscule. And again, I compare that with what we spend on Prevent, which clearly doesn't do what it says on the tin. So that was my suggestion. I think the family would still prefer a full inquiry about David, but perhaps they might be prepared to accept that sort of plan. If it were that or nothing, I think they might be prepared to accept Plan B. But the government continue to refuse.
Yeah, for whatever reason. And can they continue to refuse, especially when you look at the sentencing yesterday of the man who threatened to kill Nigel Farage?
Yes. You know, I can now say this without fear of prejudicing a trial, right? Because at the time, it was all absolutely impressed on us. We mustn't say anything, however much we were hurting, that might prejudice a trial and somehow let this person get off on some human rights-based technicality. Are you with me? So we had to be careful in what we said, which obviously was extremely difficult for the Amess family. But in the end, you know, the guy was convicted. So I can now say without fear or favour that my friend was murdered by an Islamist terrorist. And then we've had Southport. And now the guy that wanted to kill Nigel Farage. We've got to do something about this. And Prevent doesn't seem to be the answer.
OK. Mark, we've got to leave it there, but thank you very much indeed for making that clear. Mark Francois, the Conservative MP, and the family of Sir David Amess, still, like Mark, without answers 4 years after his murder. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, at 19 minutes past 8, let's get a check on the weather with Aidan McGibbon.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Another cloudy day for most of us, with a few light showers around, otherwise dry, but lucky some will have some sunshine. A few cloud breaks possible in the south first thing, likewise for West Wales, but the largest cloud breaks, once again, like the previous few days, central and northern parts of Scotland, particularly over the Highlands and the Grampians, where the clouds are poking through the cloud and reaching the sunshine above. Some light showers around coast, but otherwise it's dry. It's not particularly chilly. It's not particularly warm either under the grey leaden skies, temperatures around the mid-teens. Then heading into the evening, well, we keep those clear skies across much of central Scotland. There is some thicker cloud for the north and northwest of Scotland. Some light showers associated with this as well. Cloud hugging the Western Isles, but clear inland. Through the central belt, mostly cloudy. Likewise for southern Scotland, Northern Ireland, much of England. But for Wales, well, a large part of West Wales and parts of Cornwall and Devon seeing some clear spells as we go into the night. And that's why we'll see big contrasts overnight from place to place, because where we keep the cloud, it's going to be a mild night. We'll avoid fog, but we will see a few mist patches forming as the cloud lowers a little. Where we keep the clear skies, there will be some fog patches and perhaps a touch of frost, or at least a ground frost, with temperatures heading towards the low single figures in a few spots. But otherwise, it's a reasonably mild start to Thursday, but again, a reasonably cloudy one. I think there's a better chance through the day tomorrow of some decent cloud breaks developing. Just about anywhere could see these. They'll come and go. Very fickle, this low cloud. And into Friday and the weekend, likewise, some cloud breaks, some sunshine, otherwise largely cloudy until the end of the weekend when it turns more settled.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
When I tell you the Great British Giveaway is truly great, I am not joking. And just have a look and you judge for yourself.
You're not going to want to miss our greatest Great British Giveaway so far. You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this brand new 2025 Benimar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. And remember, if you can dream it, you can drive it away. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Thanks for having your say today on Generation Z, how they don't make phone calls, how they worry about speaking to people in restaurants and all sorts of things. What are folks saying this morning?
Most of you getting in touch. Andrew's talking about 2 younger colleagues, members of Gen Z. He said they sat opposite each other for 18 months. They'd never actually met or spoken to each other, just emailed each other daily. That's unbelievable, isn't it?
Well, it's happening, and we're talking about that later on in the programme. Up next, we have got Pat Jennings, the fantastic goalkeeper, and he's auctioning off some of his kit. Would you buy it? Let's talk about that. To Pat, next.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
She's got a huge platform, so it really is wonderful that she's raised this issue.
Sandy, do you have any tips for parents who want to, keep screens out of the home? I find myself, as a parent, I'll be sort of Googling whether my son's development is right or whatever, or, Googling something about my son, and then I'll see that he's trying to play with me and I've been distracted by my phone. But I sort of have the best intentions, but I'm sure that's what everyone says. Do you have any tips for how to make phones and family more compatible?
Yeah, absolutely. Particularly for very young children, they don't really have a good concept of time. So to say to them, you can have the device for 20 minutes means nothing. So what I recommend to families that I work with is that they have screen-free places in the home where no one has a screen, and there are particularly important ones. So meal times, which the Princess of Wales raised yesterday, that's hugely important. It's a great time for the family to get together and talk. And also children being on screens during meal times has been shown to contribute to childhood obesity, because children don't register when they're full and they don't stop eating because they're distracted. The other really good place to avoid screens for everyone is the bedroom, particularly the children's bedroom. because it affects the quality of their sleep, how long they sleep. And first thing in the morning is particularly bad. It's been shown that children who watch screens in the morning have worse behaviour, attention and concentration throughout the day. And they're far more likely to have a speech and language problem.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Now, recent data shows that 70% of managers are struggling with their Gen Z staff over unrealistic expectations and shifting attitudes to authority. Well, what are the top complaints? Well, dodging calls and demanding more attention for their mental health. This leads us to our chat this morning. We're asking, are Gen Z too lazy in the workplace?
Well, certainly very, very different. We're waiting for Ryan Mark Parsons, who agrees, who says that they are. Jack Kellum, who's there already. Jack, he's head of communications at Autonomy Institute. How would you describe Generation Z? And I know you don't think they're lazy or such. Why are they different from certainly me? Ellie says they're different from her. Are they any different to you, Jack, or can you identify with it, or do you just understand it?
Look, I think we all like to moan about our colleagues in the workplace, but I think the issue for me is it would be a really big mistake to let ourselves get distracted by generational quibbles like this. You know, there are real serious issues about work in the UK which go way beyond if people are wearing headphones in the office or leave when they stop being paid to work. You know, in 2024, we lost 33.7 million days to work-related ill health. We've got some of the longest working hours in Europe, but we've got flatlining productivity. So getting hung up about if people are not picking up the phone to do calls or wear headphones isn't going to fix this. We've got to talk about the real issues affecting UK work.
That is a real issue. Excuse me, I'm telling you, when you carry out, let's just take my job, for instance. My job depends on you talking to people, on lifting up a phone, not texting them, not emailing them, not waiting for an answer, getting an answer here and there. So it is very real in certain people's lives, Jack.
I think, let's be honest, there are much bigger issues affecting the UK economy than this, but to the extent that I think there are issues like this, I think they're spread much more widely across different generations than just within Gen Z. I think lots of people's attitudes have changed.
No, but Jack, seriously, Jack, there is a shift, and I mean, socially even, we were talking about this earlier. I mean, I know people in their 30s, in their 20s, who will not speak to waiting staff in restaurants, and they're actually timid about it. They're afraid to say, could I have this? Could we change that? Could you get me a bottle of ketchup? And they say, could you ask that for me? That is a real thing, my friend.
I mean, look, that's some anecdotal evidence that you've got there, Percy. I think there are some broader changes that have affected people, and I think a lot of what this is people just wanting a better work-life balance in the work. They're much more careful around setting boundaries. I think sometimes that might run up against generational differences.
Yeah, Jack,
but,
can we talk about...
are affecting...
Jack, can we talk about those setting boundaries? Because I think that is one of the key differences, isn't there, between Gen Z and millennials or Gen X or whoever you want to compare them to. They would potentially come into work a bit later, they would leave earlier, they have a better work-life balance, you might describe it as, whereas previous generations, well, they've worn burnout as a badge of honour. What do you think's happened there? Why do you think there is such a distinct difference?
Well, I think we've got to actually remember the differences in workplace technology we've got today compared to a few decades ago. Now your boss is literally just a message, a Slack notification, a text away. Oh. And that issue of the constant lack of barriers between our working life and our personal lives, I think maybe that's something that younger people are much more keen to try and actually put a proper boundary in place around. Look, we know this is causing issues. Overwork is a really big issue in the UK economy. It doesn't help our productivity. Being contactable by not being able to switch off, we need to address issues like that rather than quibbling about people's...
Thanks, Jack. We've got to leave you there, and we will say goodbye to you. We'll say hello to Ryan Mark Parsons, who's a commentator on all these things. But you think think there is socially a difference between a lot of people and these youngsters?
Yes, I do actually, Eamonn. I'm Gen Z, I'm 25, and I speak to my peers in the workplace, and I feel like they all share the same point of view. They would rather earn 6 figures from the sofa than actually going into the office. And research shows about 1 in 10 Gen Zers actually want to go in to the office and work full time, and they expect to be successful in their careers just by lounging around in their pajamas.
Well, they're different times and different people. We understand. Guys, sorry because of a little mix-up. We're out of time, but we've got to say goodbye to both of you, and thank you very much indeed for your contributions. Here's the travel news.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A9 southbound at Broxton roundabout is restricted due to a broken-down vehicle, so proceed with caution. A traffic incident on the A1 southbound between A692 and A167. Washington-Bertley Road has caused lane closures and significant delays. The M4 westbound between junctions 10 and 11 in Wokingham has a lane closure due to a broken-down vehicle. Delays continue on the M25 clockwise between Surrey's junctions 5 and 6 due to a road incident. And on the trains, major disruptions affect journeys between Liverpool Lime Street and Manchester, impacting Northern and TransPennine Express services. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Still to come, our favourite goalkeeper, Pat Jennings, is going to be joining us next. He's auctioning off lots of football shirts and gloves and socks. He's going to tell us more about that.
The shirts of our years, right after this.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Well, we're delighted now to welcome a really big name to the programme, Paul Coyte.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
And not only Paul Coyte, but top Northern Irish goalkeeper, maybe the best goalkeeper Ireland has ever produced.
Can I say the greatest goalkeeper, in my opinion, of all time?
Me too.
Yeah, he played for Arsenal, he played for Spurs, and he is our man. He is the legend that is Pat Jennings. Pat, great to see you.
Morning, Pat.
Yeah, man.
Hi,
Morning,
Pat.
Yeah. And it's a very special day today. Pat, could you tell people exactly what is going to happen today?
Well, all the memorabilia that I've built up over the years from joining Watford in '62 to having my last game against Brazil on my 41st birthday, 119 appearances for Northern Ireland, and all of my cup final stuff, most of it's going on up for sale through buds.
It's that we just saw one now. I'm an anorak when it comes to this, Pat. 1973. It was against Norwich City, by the way. That blue Spurs shirt. They're all in unbelievable condition. Where did you keep them all? Is it because so many footballers I speak to just chuck them all in a box and then they go up there and they've all disintegrated? They all look fantastic.
Yeah, well, whenever the pitches we played on, I mean, they were all mud and dirt and that, so they had to be washed after the matches, so they were washed and then put away. But I mean, I had so many of them on show on the old stand on the Pat Jennings lounge.
Yeah.
The old stadium at White Hart Lane. And I had it there for years, and then just a couple of days before the last match, Pat, can you come and pick your stuff up? So I had 10 glass cases, I said, on show there. People loved looking at it. But that was the last. I put it in boxes then. That was 2017. And I hadn't seen them since to literally a month, 6 weeks ago. Bud's the auctioneers come and pick them up.
You see, we can appreciate what we're looking at here. This is treasure to us. But to most people, especially wives, they would look at this thing and they would say it's junk. Boxes of junk. And your wife must have been very understanding to let you store all this stuff and keep all this stuff over the years.
Yeah, it was a build-up of stuff. I mean, I had it just in boxes and that was it. But I mean, I've still retained a lot of my stuff, my Football of the Year awards, both Football Writers and the PFA awards. I've still got them. All my cup final medals, FA Cup medals, and I was Spurs Player of the Year 4 or 5 years. I've still got those trophies, holding on to them.
We were just looking at something there, Pat, that didn't belong to you.
That was the one.
Paul was explaining to me that a lot of the stuff isn't yours, it's who you swapped it with, whatever. And this iconic shirt, this was a George Best Northern Irish shirt here.
Look at that. That's the George Best shirt. So he was very close to you, wasn't he, Pat?
Yeah, my roommate. We both started the international team the same night against Wales, the Betchfield down in Swansea. 1964. So that's how far back George and I went. But what a player he was and a fantastic bloke.
Do we, I don't want to be talking money, but
let's
talk money. This is what it's all about. Have they valued it? The auctioneers have said, well, look, the George Best is probably going to go for this. The Spurs one is going to go for this. Because I know there's loads of Northern Ireland. I'm already going to be bidding for the Northern Ireland socks, by the way, for Eamonn. But do we know which you think is going to be the most expensive one? Because surely that George Best one is going to go for a fortune.
Yeah, you would expect it. But to be honest, I haven't got a clue what's what. I've just left it to the auctioneers to sort out, and they're just waiting, I suppose, on whatever bids come in.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can see a few more. Can we see a few more of the shirts? Because there's other things I know. There's how many have you got? It's about 50 or 60 at least, isn't it, that are in the auction?
You can imagine 119 international shirts from all over the world.
Everything. Look, that's the Russian one from the 60s. So what do you remember about that? Look at that, the old CCCP there.
Yeah, I can remember playing away in Russia, but I can't remember much at home. But going there was an experience, but especially in those days. But I mean, I've just so many players would come up to me after matches. Pat, can I have your shirt?
Yeah,
it was just something that was done in those days.
And Pat, do you feel sad getting rid of all of this stuff at all? I know you said you're keeping some back for your own memories, but do you feel sad letting a lot of it go?
Well, not really, but as you can imagine, I mean, I haven't seen it from whenever I took it back from Spurs in, as I said, 2017, and it's just been in boxes since. I haven't seen it. Nobody's seen it, so at least it's getting. I'll be getting it out there to the people that want it, and they may as well put it in show.
I think a few football museums will be in for those as well, without a doubt. Do you know what you're going to do with the money, Pat?
No, give it to the young ones, the family and that. So, yeah.
Well, listen, every best wish. I hope you raise a lot of memories, and we're going to tune in at 11 o'clock today to have a look.
We are, and I did mention the socks. I think there's about 20 pairs of Northern Ireland socks, the green Adidas one. So, Pat, 19. If you just take one pair out of that, they'll never know, and Mr. Holmes can wear those for the show every morning.
Over my head.
For luck. Look at that. They're fantastic.
Yeah. But people can go online. You can go online and you can follow and you can bid.
Bud's Auctioneers, isn't it? That's and it's from 11 o'clock this morning. Okay. And you've got to register and then you can bid. See, what I'm doing now is giving this out and ruining my own chances of getting that Spurs shirt.
Ruining your own chances.
I see what you mean. Pat, hope it goes well for you. Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate talking to you today. Good luck.
Great stuff. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, Coity. He's good, isn't he?
And we didn't even discuss your meeting with Pat.
Well, you say he's good. You don't know.
Probably best we don't.
Okay.
You couldn't imagine how good he was as a goalkeeper.
He was,
I mean, one-handed saves.
From playing the Gaelic game.
He's a Gaelic footballer as well.
Catch and bring it in.
He's a nice man as well.
Lovely man, great goalkeeper.
And a GB News viewer.
Yes.
Absolutely. And wife Eleanor as well. So hi, Eleanor.
Still to come, a London school has banned parents from Sports Day. Find out why next. Right after this, you've got Christo and Scarlett.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you are searching for some holiday sunshine, I can recommend Portugal as one of the warmer and sunnier spots on Thursday. Drier in the Balearics following a wet start to the week, but the rain that has affected parts of Spain and the Balearics now moving through Sardinia, affecting parts of southern Italy into Greece as well. So very lively thunderstorms and some large rainfall amounts. Still some showers across Spain, otherwise mostly fine for Portugal. And the wet weather in Greece becomes more widespread into Croatia and Greece later on.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
It's got this funny aspect, hasn't it? That calling Nelson queer is funny, but it isn't. In a way, it's not funny at all. It's just part of a very large project to not only pretend that trans people started the gay rights movement and that everybody has a gender identity. But I don't know if you know, the University of Leicester has got this wonderful organisation, the Research Centre for Museums and Galleries, which also links up with NEMO. This is a European-wide organisation, and they hold events about queering the museums. So the museums are being fed this bonkers nonsense, yes, by organisations that we're funding, and I think this has to stop. It really has to stop.
Bev, Michelle here. Sorry to cut in and take this back to basics, but some of my viewers might be sitting there and they're not down with the latest iterations of the alphabet soup, so they might not actually even know what is queer.
Well, it's a good question, isn't it? Queer used to be, and in my mind still is, an insult. A lot of gay men, especially older gay men, remember being called queer just before they were beaten up. So for them, and for many people, and including for me as well, queer is an insult. But lots of young gays and lesbians have adopted the word queer these days, but funnily enough, lots of straight people have too. So you'll find straight couples calling themselves queer because they think their sex is a bit edgy or something. It's completely debased the whole notion of what it was. was of what gay rights was about, and people have forgotten what gay rights were about. So I don't use the word queer at all. I don't use the word LGBTQ+, because it's a jumble of different interests which actually conflict with each other. They don't belong together.
The People's Channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Welcome back. We're going through the papers in the company of Christo Fufas and Scarlett Maguire this morning. Morning, you two.
Good morning.
Let's start with this mega poll, shall we, which puts reform on course for 445
What's the difference between a poll and a mega poll?
I think it's quite big.
It's size.
Sizable.
And you're right, this is page 2 of the Mail today. Nigel Farage would win the largest Commons majority in modern political history if a general election took place now. Reform would be on course for, wait for it, 445 seats. Labour would just be down to 73. The Tories would be reduced to 7. However, and this is an MRP poll and for the Daily Mail, tactical voting could block Nigel Farage because a lot of Labour voters, more than a third, said that they would actually switch to the Tories if it meant keeping reform out. So that's the one poll in the Mail. But there's another interesting story today as well in the Times regarding polling, because they've got a poll from YouGov and they've looked at the big political parties since conference and they found that there hasn't been a Kemi bounce. This is the first big poll since the end of conference season. Of course, in the conference, we got the big Kemi announcement about stamp duty. I would say it was her best speech she's ever given, and I think she reinvigorated the conference, sadly, just as everyone was about to leave. But they've still found that the Conservatives are stuck on 17%, Labour still stuck on 20%, so none of what you would expect to happen at conference actually changed.
But actually, I think what this shows is that people aren't interested in conferences. Conferences are for nerds, right? They're basically for political junkies. Those are the people who... I mean, if you ask most people in the street, they wouldn't even know that there had been a conference.
But things like the announcement on stamp duty would cut through.
Yeah, policy.
Well, it obviously didn't, because nobody... and one of the problems is nobody believes anything anymore.
Well, that is part of the problem, and this current government is doing nothing to make that any better. But however...
I think, Crystal, part of the problem for the Conservatives is that Kemi Badenoch does nothing between big speeches. She might do a speech and then 6 weeks later she may do another speech, but she doesn't seem to grab the headlines in between.
I think that's a really fair point, and what's happening is that I think she's trying to make sure that anything she comes up with, and this would be her argument, is really well thought through. She doesn't want to just throw any policy at the wall, but what that means is that vacuum, that void, is being filled by Reform and Nigel Farage, who is a brilliant politician. Love or loathe him, and agree with him or disagree with him, he is a brilliant politician, and they are filling the void.
Yeah, and Nigel Farage's problem is that he doesn't do what Kemi does, is he doesn't think things through. So he brings out a policy that sounds really good, and then when you look at it properly, it's not going to work. But actually, by that time, as they say, you know, everybody's heard about
Tomorrow's
the policy. Yeah, and so, I mean... It's not good for British politics that we're not drilling down and finding out what works.
But also, the part of that is as well, and we've all probably got to hold ourselves a bit responsible for this, is our absolute craving, especially in media and 24-hour news, that we want a new line, we want something new, we want something immediately, we want to hear more and more and more. And so those politicians that maybe want to be a bit more cerebral and think about things before they announce stuff, they don't get the airtime. I actually quite like Kemi. I think that she's come up with some pretty decent stuff in that speech, but clearly
she's got to show she's got a personality. She's got to show who she is. Is she married? Is she not married? Does she have kids? I don't know.
Well, in that speech she did, but it's the first time. You're right. It's kind of the first time we've seen any of that, and that's quite a long time she's been leader.
But the other problem is that we want quick solutions. Is that what we're not willing to say is this is a complicated thing and it's going to take time and it's going to take a lot of looking at.
I think that's fair.
Is we were, oh yeah, this is a quick solution and this will work, and then it doesn't, and then people are depressed.
Scarlett, also in the Mail today, why have parents been banned from Sports Day?
They've been banned from Sports Days in Merton, which is in southwest
Wimbledon.
Yeah, absolutely, which is in southwest London, because they cheat. Right, because they cut across the finish lines to stop other children winning, and they hurl abuse. And this has been building up for some time, actually, that parents just get too invested in how well their children do at sports days. And actually, you know, some children are really good and some aren't, and you just have to leave it. You're supposed to clap.
But I think what's interesting here, because you're right, it is sort of Merton, but some of these areas, they're Wimbledon, they're Morden, they're Mitcham, some of them are really affluent, middle-class parents who are acting like complete savages. And so, you know, they're running onto the pitch to hinder other children from finishing at sports days so that their child wins. I mean, there's something...
I was going to say, Christo, to be fair, I mean, where are the pushy parents? They're the middle classes. They're not actually in the poor areas. I mean, it's pushy parents saying my child should win all the time.
There's pushy or there's sort of unhinged, and these
completely and utterly, and also feeling that if something is wrong with their child, then it's a reflection on them, which is a real problem.
They've been told they're not allowed at sport. They've been banned from sports day, and they've been written to, and all the parents they can't come anymore.
It's been a problem for, I think, many years.
Well, it's a terrible problem for Saturday football and Saturday rugby. For I mean, not just for schools, but I mean, particularly.
Imagine being a referee.
I was just about to say the referees get shouted at, they get abused. I mean, it is appalling what happens actually.
Not very small.
Give us a brief word about digital ID and why it costs us.
Yeah, this is fears about digital ID becoming a costly white elephant. This is page 25 of the Mail today, because new figures have shown that a figure which is eye-watering, £32 billion is already being spent on IT projects of the government that are failing, that aren't going very well at all, already delayed, already over budget, and a lot of people are saying digital ID might well go exactly the same way. It will cost billions and go absolutely nowhere and not solve the problems that it claims it's going to solve.
And then we have a choice. Do we say we can't? I mean, this has been going on for decades, right? I mean, I remember this sort of in the 80s and 90s, and we have a choice. Do we try or don't we try?
We don't try.
Well, digital IDs, when we all go abroad into your... Well, not me, it won't affect me, I have an Irish passport, but for your British passport and going abroad and what you need to authenticate yourself for and whatever, there you go.
We are going to be speaking to the government shortly, so we'll put that to them, won't we?
Crystal and Scarlett, appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
Thank
you very much indeed.
Goodbye.
Good morning, Aidan McGivern with the weather.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Another cloudy day for most of us, with a few light showers around, otherwise dry, but lucky some will have some sunshine. A few cloud breaks possible in the south first thing, likewise for West Wales, but the largest cloud breaks, once again, like the previous few days, central and northern parts of Scotland, particularly over the Highlands and the Grampians, where the clouds are poking through the cloud and reaching the sunshine above. Some light showers around coasts, but otherwise it's dry. It's not particularly chilly. It's not particularly warm either under the grey leaden skies, temperatures around the mid-teens. Then heading into the evening, well, we keep those clear skies across much of central Scotland. There is some thicker cloud for the north and northwest of Scotland. Some light showers associated with this as well. Cloud hugging the Western Isles, but clear inland. Through the central belt, mostly cloudy. Likewise for southern Scotland, Northern Ireland, much of England. But for Wales, well, a large part of West Wales and parts of Cornwall and Devon seeing some clear spells as we go into the night. And that's why we'll see big contrasts overnight from place to place, because where we keep the cloud, it's going to be a mild night. We'll avoid fog, but we will see a few mist patches forming as the cloud lowers a little. Where we keep the clear skies, there will be some fog patches and perhaps a touch of frost, or at least a ground frost, with temperatures heading towards the low single figures in a few spots. But otherwise, it's a reasonably mild start to Thursday, but again, a reasonably cloudy one. I think there's a better chance through the day tomorrow of some decent cloud breaks developing. Just about anywhere could see these. They'll come and go. Very fickle, this low cloud. And into Friday and the weekend, likewise, some cloud breaks, some sunshine out there, otherwise largely cloudy until the end of the weekend when it turns more settled.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A90 northbound between Kinfauns and Glencarse has delays due to a broken down vehicle. Congestion on the M4 eastbound at junction 33 Capel Lanhill turn causes off-slip delays. A collision on the M6 northbound between junctions 26 and 27 has closed 2 lanes, causing major delays. In Kent, all lanes are closed on the A21 southbound at the junction with the A225 due to a multi-vehicle incident, causing 1.5-hour delays. And on the trains, Northern and Trans-Pennine Express services between Liverpool and Manchester are severely disrupted. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
There's just 3 weeks left to see how you could be our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. Are we heading towards a nightmare before Christmas?
Rachel Reeves admits tax rises and spending cuts are coming in November's budget. She blames Nigel Farage, Brexit and the Conservatives.
Well, this comes after figures revealed the UK faces the worst inflation in the G7 as unemployment figures soar.
Now, earlier we spoke to Conservative Minister Neil O'Brien. This is what he had to say.
Until something changes, we actually get a grip on spending in the way that the Conservatives are proposing, then we'll just end up in this vicious circle with the economy going down and down and down, and tragically, more and more young people unemployed, which is just heartbreaking.
The Home Secretary will admit today that Britain has lost control of its borders. But with Channel crossings still rising, can this government really get a grip?
We will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games.
Neither are they. Hamas carried out public executions on the streets of Gaza yesterday. President Trump warning them of repercussions if they fail to disarm.
Breaking news this morning, Royal Mail has been fined £21 million for missing its first and second class mail delivery targets in the last financial year.
A new poll projects that Nigel Farage is set for the biggest Commons majority ever, with the Conservatives reduced to just 7 MPs and Labour ministers culled.
Today marks the 4th anniversary of Sir David Amess's murder, an MP who was tragically killed at his constituency surgery. We heard from his daughter, Katie, earlier this morning.
We are just absolutely broken. Our lives are destroyed. I feel like I can never be fully happy again knowing that this happened to my dad in such a shocking and horrific way.
From avoiding direct conversations to demanding greater focus on mental health, young people are reshaping the office environment. But many senior people working there aren't impressed. We're asking, are Generation Z simply lazy?
Another grey start for most of us this morning, but the sun is coming out in a few places. Find out where in the forecast coming up soon.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Wednesday morning. At 9:02 is the time. You're very welcome. We're with you until 9:30. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Olivia Utley joins us in the studio this morning, and the Chancellor Rachel Reeves has been speaking today, and she's had to admit tax hikes and spending cuts could be on the cards for her November budget.
Well, exactly. I mean, we all knew it was coming, really, that, of course, Rachel Reeves was going to have to raise taxes at the next budget, but this is the first time that she has actually admitted it. And very worryingly, I think, for lots of Labour MPs and actually Labour ministers, she has also talked for the first time about spending cuts as well. So you've got all the different departments going to the Treasury begging for more money, and it sounds as though Rachel Reeves is not only going to say no to that, but she might actually be cutting budgets too. That will go down really, really badly among Labour MPs who are worried about bringing back some sort of, that the Labour government is going to bring back some sort of austerity programme like George Osborne
Olivia,
introduced.
could you explain, you say this is what she has to do. Why has she to raise taxes? Why has she to make spending cuts? Why doesn't she just leave things the way they are? Because this is a vote loser.
It is a vote loser. She is trying to plug this hole in Britain's finances. She claims that this hole is because of Tories' mismanagement of the economy. What has happened is that the OBR, the forecasters, have downgraded the amount that Britain is due to grow by, and therefore there is a hole between the amount of money coming in and the amount of money going out. So Britain's national debt is increasing, and the cost of servicing that national debt is now incredibly high, almost at the record it has ever been. So Rachel Reeves says that to plug that hole, as it were, she needs to raise taxes in some way. Now, she's painted herself into a bit of a corner because during the general election, the Labour government said again and again that it wouldn't be raising taxes on working people, so VAT, national insurance or income tax. That doesn't leave her with very much wiggle room for what taxes to raise. So there is talk that she'll be completely reforming property taxes, ending the council tax and stamp duty way of doing things things and coming up with some other tax to raise some money for the Treasury. There's talks about various wealth taxes, so taxing capital gain, increasing capital gains and introducing perhaps capital gains on a primary home. Of course, the worry is there, which lots of Conservatives are saying, is that, I mean, it's all very well sort of plugging the gap, but if you plug the gap by taxing the wealthiest people, then those wealthy people will simply leave the country and will take with them the money that they're spending to go back into the economy. They'll take their businesses with them. There's talk too about taxing banks. Well, you tax the banks and the banks move somewhere else. The banks move to Frankfurt, for example, and that actually takes a lot of money out of the economy too. So it's not really quite as simple as just plugging a gap. She's got to find a way to keep growth going too, and that's the really difficult balance that Rachel Reeves and her advisors will be trying to come up with before this budget on the 26th of November.
And as you say, laying the blame on Brexit, austerity and the Tories, how fair do you think it is to put the blame at their door rather than at the door of the sitting government?
Well, the sitting government has now been in power for over a year, so it gets harder and harder for Rachel Reeves to blame her predecessors. We know now that unemployment is up to 4.8%, and the real unemployment figure is actually far higher because that headline unemployment figure doesn't include people who are on PIP benefits, for example, so out of work but not looking for work. So the real unemployment figure is much, much higher. That is obviously creating a bigger black hole in the country's finances, and you could argue that that hole is largely down to this Labour government, and in fact Rachel Reeves's introduction of that national insurance rise for employers that she did at the last budget. This was her sort of smoke and mirrors way of raising taxes on working people without saying that she was raising taxes on working people, because of course if you raise taxes on employers, that will trickle down to the employees, and employers will have to fire people in order to make ends meet. So there is a part of this that is down to the Conservative government. You cannot argue that the Conservative government left the country's finances in a particularly good state, but certainly Labour has quite a lot to answer for too.
Olivia, thank you for answering our questions this morning. Appreciate it. Thank you. Today marks 4 years since the tragic murder of the MP Sir David Amess.
Well, Sir David had served as an MP for nearly 40 years and known for his dedication to his community.
Well, his family, colleagues and constituents, and we've heard from all of them today, continue to remember his life and legacy. And we spoke to Sir David's daughter, Katie, earlier on this morning in a very passionate and emotional interview. And she's continuing to campaign for change and a full inquiry into her father's death.
Just even hearing you speak about it, it's still so shocking to me, and it's so hard to come to terms with and believe that this is actually really what happened and that this is our reality now.
What is the reality for you and your family now, 4 years on, Katie?
We are just absolutely broken. Our lives are destroyed. I feel like I can never be fully happy again knowing that this happened to my dad in such a shocking and horrific way. And 4 years on, we still don't have any answers as to why somebody that was known to the government prevent scheme and to the police was allowed to go back onto the street to commit this atrocity. I've been asking the government for an inquiry to find out why they only had one meeting with the guy and they didn't have the other 7 that were budgeted to find out if he was a terrorist. And so far it's fallen on deaf ears, and Sir Keir is refusing to do an inquiry for us.
Yeah, and it was one meeting in a McDonald's, I hear, over a coffee. I mean, what does this say about Prevent scheme? We were talking about the migrant scheme in general there, the one in, one out deal with France. And I think, you know, a lot of politicians, they just talk rubbish. They talk a good game, but it doesn't add up to anything. And does it seem that the Prevent scheme is one of those things?
Well, Prevent is absolutely rubbish, and they claimed that after it happened to my dad, they overhauled it and they fixed it, but then Southport happened. And the government did the right thing with Southport. They immediately launched an inquiry. But there is something in my father's case that they do not want to see the light of day, and they are point blank refusing. And when I ask, well, how comes you've done the right thing by Southport? They have no answers for me. They just tell me that it's a different case and that I should be happy with a review that has been done, but that review didn't have the judicial power to question anybody. They just want me to go away and to shut up and to move on, but I'm not going to do that because my dad was an amazing public servant. He was in the House of Commons for nearly 40 years and he touched thousands of people's lives, and these are his colleagues and his alleged friends, and they don't want whatever it is that they know coming out. So my whole family is just in despair. If this is how little the government cares for the family of a murdered colleague, how little do they care for everybody else?
David Amess's daughter, Katie, speaking to us earlier today.
Well, we're joined now by the government and Chief Secretary to the Treasury, James Murray. Good morning to you, Mr. Murray.
Hi, good morning.
And I'm not sure how much of that report you just heard there, but we are reflecting 4 years on since the murder of the MP, Sir David Amess, and his daughter there very bravely still calling for a public inquiry. She says the government are not listening to her calls. Why aren't you listening to her? Why aren't you granting her this public inquiry? We can see how topical MP's safety is when we're looking at the man yesterday jailed for 5 years for threatening to kill Nigel Farage.
Yes, and let me start by saying I only just heard the end of the interview just there, but you know, the way in which David Amess died was so utterly shocking for all of us, and I can't begin to imagine how his family must feel. And I think, you know, for them to keep pushing for the answers they want reflects how important that is to them. Now, I know that in terms of having a review, having a further inquiry. The government's position is that we think there have been quite a few reviews which have unearthed information. We're not confident that another review would unearth further information, but we have committed to looking at the information which has come to light throughout all the previous reviews and making sure that we're taking the right positions based on that. But just to reiterate, I think all of us as MPs were shocked, and all of our families were shocked by what happened to Sir David Amess, and my thoughts are really with his family on this day.
But what you're here to talk about this morning is you're not a fan of inquiries in general, and you're backing the builders, not the blockers. Explain to me what you mean by that.
So what we know in terms of infrastructure in this country is that when decisions are being taken whether to go ahead and build new road infrastructure, new railways, new power stations, they can too often be slowed down through judicial review, through the legal process. And so what we're saying is that we want to shorten that process to speed decisions up. At the moment, a judicial review takes on average about a year and a half. We think we can take at least 6 months off that so the decisions are taken quicker. And that's just the latest thing we're doing to speed up these decisions about getting things built, whether that's the infrastructure we need, whether that's homes across the country, because I think for so many years under the previous government, we talked about building the homes and the infrastructure the country needed, but they didn't get on with it. We're taking the decisions now to get these things built.
The Chancellor has confirmed for the first time this morning that tax rises and spending cuts are coming in the budget on the 26th of November. It means, doesn't it, that the British people are facing a nightmare before Christmas, many already struggling with the cost of living.
Well, look, I know that people across the country are struggling to make ends meet, and for us as a government, that's why it's so important we do everything we can to bring down inflation and to put more money in people's pockets.
And by taxing them more.
The concept that a budget includes measures in relation to tax and spending is not new. Budgets always reflect on taxation and spending, but what budgets under us also focus on is growth. And we were just talking about growth a second ago in relation to the planning system, because we know that getting greater economic growth in this country is a way to make people better off. And that's why we're so focused on speeding up these planning decisions, getting shovels in the ground, getting infrastructure and homes built, because we know that will make people in every part of the UK have more money in their pockets.
Well, James, it doesn't look as if we're going to have more money in our pockets come Rachel Reeves' budget in November. There you are, you're part of the whole Treasury set up there. It doesn't look good from what she's been saying this morning. You talked about cuts there and taxes, and it looks like she might have to get involved in both.
Well, as I said, budgets always include a reflection of the position on taxation and spending, and for us it also includes growth. And actually on the spending element of what the government is doing, one of my jobs as Chief Secretary to the Treasury is to make sure we keep a tight grip on public spending, that we keep making sure we're making efficiencies, that we're cutting waste, that we're making sure we're spending taxpayers' money wisely and getting value for money for taxpayers. That's one of the things that drives me in this job. I've written to Cabinet colleagues about that to make clear how important that must be to us every day as a government, because we need to make sure we're spending taxpayers' money wisely, and that's a real priority for me and for the rest of the government.
It's a grim picture, though, isn't it? I mean, the headlines this morning: number of jobless hits 4-year high. We're facing the highest inflation in the G7, the worst growth living standards in the West, a black hole of up to 30 billion. And when this is put to the Chancellor, she blames Brexit, she blames austerity, she blames the Tories. Can you admit that any of this mess is the government's fault?
Well, it's also true that the IMF have upgraded our growth forecasts this year. We had the fastest growing economy in the G7 in the first half of this year. But look, we're really clear there's a lot more we need to do. We're really clear there's long-term reasons why our country is in a difficult position. But we're also clear we want to go further and faster to get the economy growing. And to bring it back again to the planning changes I was talking about earlier, getting Britain building is a sure way to boost economic growth and to make people in every part of the country better off.
There are rumours swirling this morning that the Chancellor is rethinking inheritance tax on farms. The speculation is that the threshold for inheritance tax is going to go up. What do you say to that?
No, look, that policy was settled. We announced that at the budget last year. We think the approach that we took was a fair and proportionate approach, where it still allowed owners of assets to have £1 million without being subject to inheritance tax, and then a 50% relief above that level. That was a fair way forward. And look, we're focused on the next budget, not reopening discussions of the past one.
There's also reports in the Telegraph this morning that Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, is to miss the NATO defence spending targets. This is from the Public Accounts Committee. They say it's sceptical that this commitment to spend 2.6% of GDP on defence by 2027 is affordable. I mean, that's alarming, isn't it, in the dangerous world that we're living in?
Well, the Chancellor has set out exactly how we're going to pay for our defence commitments, and the Prime Minister has made his commitment to that absolutely clear as well. And ultimately, it's the Chancellor who sets the budget, and she will give an update. She'll give her next budget on November the 26th. Making sure that we can meet our pledges, making sure that we can meet our fiscal rules, because our fiscal rules are so important to underpinning that economic stability which we brought to office.
James, got to leave things there. Thanks for your time this morning on a busy day for you. We know James Murray is the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, speaking to us live there from Westminster. We'll hit the break. We'll come back with a surprise royal visit to Northern Ireland from William and Kate.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. Just time to tell you about the Great British Giveaway now. Here are all of the details that you need for a chance to make it yours.
You're not going to want to miss our greatest Great British giveaway so far. You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this brand new 2025 Benimar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. And remember, if you can dream it, you can drive it away. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
And the very best of luck to you if you are entering and if you were to win. Well, wow. Wow is the word I'd use. Andrew Pearce and Miriam Cates up next from 9:30. Good morning.
Morning to you.
What have you got?
We're talking to the MP who was thrown out of the Israeli parliament for having the temerity to heckle Donald Trump. First time he's talked to GB News. That'd be interesting.
Yes, he's a far-left anti-war activist. He made his feelings known in the Israeli parliament on Monday. We're also going to be talking about toilet training. Shockingly, the DfE have found, Department for Education have found that over 60% of parents think it's not their responsibility to
Just
toilet train their
terrible. That
children.
makes me so angry. Do you know, if I was a teacher, I would think, well, just sitting at kids, that's it, because we're not doing anything about it.
It's not their job to teach kids potty training teachers, as if they haven't got enough on their plate.
No, and a quarter now of children arrive at school not toilet trained. I mean, that was unheard of a generation ago. In Wales, the schools have banned children from starting unless they're toilet trained. I think that's a good idea.
I think that's right.
But we're going to be talking to an expert about what we can do about parents who just don't think it's their responsibility.
But what do they see as their responsibility? I mean, a lot of them send their kids to school without breakfast, and then, you know, they do this as well. What are they there for, these parents?
Right. I know. They shouldn't be parents.
No.
Frankly. It's appalling.
It's cruel to the child, isn't
it? It is. And humiliating.
Yes.
All the other children are going to laugh their socks off, aren't they?
Yeah, you don't forget those things. Also, lots of talk about the economy. Of course, the IMF forecast dreadful for Britain, one of the highest inflation rates and lowest growth per capita rates in all of Europe. So we're going to be talking about that. What does that mean for the budget?
Yeah, and what it means for us.
Indeed. And has Britain lost control of our borders?
Exactly. And now we're going to the very lovely weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the latest update from the Met Office for GB News. Another cloudy day for most of us, with a few light showers around, otherwise dry, but lucky some will have some sunshine. A few cloud breaks possible in the south first thing, likewise for West Wales, but the largest cloud breaks, once again, like the previous few days, central and northern parts of Scotland, particularly over the Highlands and the Grampians, where the clouds are poking through the cloud and reaching the sunshine above. Some light showers around coasts, but otherwise it's dry. It's not particularly chilly. It's not particularly warm either under the grey leaden skies, temperatures around the mid-teens. Then heading into the evening, well, we keep those clear skies across much of central Scotland. There is some thicker cloud for the north and northwest of Scotland. Some light showers associated with this as well. Cloud hugging the Western Isles, but clear inland. Through the central belt, mostly cloudy. Likewise for southern Scotland, Northern Ireland, much of England. But for Wales, well, a large part of West Wales and parts of Cornwall and Devon seeing some clear spells as we go into the night. And that's why we'll see big contrasts overnight from place to place, because where we keep the cloud, it's going to be a mild night. We'll avoid fog, but we will see a few mist patches forming as the cloud lowers a little. Where we keep the clear skies, there will be some fog patches and perhaps a touch of frost, or at least a ground frost, with temperatures heading towards the low single figures in a few spots. But otherwise, it's a reasonably mild start to Thursday, but again, a reasonably cloudy one. I think there's a better chance through the day tomorrow of some decent cloud breaks developing. Just about anywhere could see these. They'll come and go. Very fickle, this low cloud. And into Friday and the weekend, likewise, some cloud breaks, some sunshine out there, otherwise largely cloudy until the end of the weekend, when it turns more settled.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. In Nantgarw, expect congestion northbound on the A470 Gateshead's A1 southbound between the A191 and the A167 Washington-Burtley faces significant delays. In Warwickshire, a collision on the M6 northbound between Junction 3 and Junction 3A has one lane open, causing an hour's delay. In Derbyshire, congestion on the A38 southbound between the A516 and the A5132 causes a 40-minute delay. Windsor and Maidenhead experience a broken-down vehicle on the M4 westbound exit slip at Junction 8, with one lane closed. On the trains, there is Merseyrail disruption through Birkenhead Hamilton Square. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Sunday with Michael Portillo from 11, only on GB News.
They've completely refigured the inside of this theatre. So the stalls have been made into sort of tiered stadium seating. It's in the round. They've built seats and a balcony at the back as well.
In the Old Vic?
In the Old Vic. Absolutely. So this is a huge amount of effort's gone into this.
Yep.